One asset already in place was quarterback Troy Aikman. But the Cowboys acquired other commodities, such as running back Emmitt Smith, their #1 draft choice in 1990. Meanwhile, the R&D department was developing the great wide receiver Michael Irvin. Productivity increased dramatically. Nowadays, the corporate boardroom can look back on that bear of a season when they were the worst team in the league, because over the next 3 years, the Cowboys ascended to the top of the industry. Back-to-back Super. However, business took a slight downturn in 1994, and about to redirect the Dallas fortunes comes from Cowboys CEO Jerry Jones.
You know, when you come within 60 minutes of a Super Bowl, when you have tasted it but didn't get to touch it, just remind yourself of how bad it hurt. Remind yourself of how good it felt when you did win a Super Bowl. The combination of those things provide all of the impetus you need to want to win another one.
The new fiscal year is about to begin. The Dallas Cowboys' corporate goal for 1995 has been established: produce another Super Bowl season. The Dallas Cowboys face the New York Giants on the season premiere of ABC's Monday Night Football. Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, just across the Hudson River from New York City. Giant Stadium sold out, of course, 76,000 plus. A beautiful night for football. Temperature in the low 70s will drop into the 60s. Very little wind to affect this game. And a great matchup, the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. Hello again, everyone. Frank Gifford with Al Michaels and Dan Dierdorf. Welcome to the Giants and the Cowboys here at Giant Stadium. And we kick off our 26th year of Monday Night Football. This is my 25th year in the booth, and I can honestly tell you there's still the magic, the excitement that goes with the Monday Night Football game, particularly when it matches somebody like the Cowboys and the Giants. The Giants 9-7 a year ago. They did not make the playoffs, but they feel from the top of this organization to the bottom that they have closed the gap somewhat on the Dallas Cowboys. We'll be finding out more about that as tonight moves along. Meanwhile, the Dallas Cowboys 12-4 last year. They won 2 Super Bowls, then gave up their Super Bowl shot last year to the 49ers, but they feel now that they have the players back. They feel they have the talent to get back in there once again, and in this era of the salary cap, they've done an amazing job in keeping all these people.
They have a happy silver anniversary.
Oh, thank you. Where's my silver cup?
It's coming to you at halftime. The one thing about the Cowboys, it's become fashionable to say this is finally Barry Switzer's team. He's in his 2nd year. In reality, it is Switzer's team, because of the 46 men they'll dress tonight, 19 did not even play for Jimmy Johnson 2 years ago. There's been that much turnover. But the key components are still there. Troy Aikman at quarterback, Emmitt Smith at running back, Michael Irvin at wide receiver, 8 Pro Bowlers on offense from last season. They're a great team, but like all of us, the Cowboys like to look to the future. They're looking to November 12th when they meet San Francisco in Dallas during the regular season, and into January 14th when they might meet the 49ers again in the NFC Championship game. But it's a long time between now and January, and the Cowboys will be well advised to think about tonight's game first, because they're playing a team on the road that figures to give them their most competition in the NFC East. The New York Giants, then, who last year were 9-7 and were up and down all over the joint. What kind of a Giant team do you expect in 95?
Well, I don't know what to expect, and I'm not sure Dan Reeves does either, Al, because it's been a wild preseason for the New York Giants. They've had lots of people hurt. Now, the defensive team is the strength of this team. They've lost some free agents, but I think replaced them very effectively with other free agents. It's a hard-hitting, aggressive unit, and for the Giants to have a chance to win tonight, they're going to have to play very, very well. The problem for the New York Giants is on offense. Offensive line, they have not had any continuity this entire preseason. They're finally going to field a starting unit tonight. Both their starting receivers have been hampered with hamstrings, and the biggest problem, quarterback Dave Brown has only played 5 quarters this preseason and thrown only 32 passes. You have to wonder whether he's ready. Dan Reeves, though, their head coach, is ready. He's 10-4 on opening day. Let's hope some of that magic rubs off on the Giants.
And the crowd is ready, and so are the Cowboys, and the rookie John Baker to kick off. And he sails one down to the 3, and the new Giant, Herschel Walker, sees immediate action and runs it back to the 18-yard line. And the Giants will start from there. Bill Bates makes the tackle, and what else is new? Bill Bates still with the club in his 13th year. Dave Brown, a supplemental pick out of Duke in 1992. assumed the #1 role last season. He has Rodney Hampton behind him, the rookie Charles Way from Virginia, the fullback, Sherrard and Callaway, the wideouts, and Cross, the veteran tight end. And the Giants banged up during preseason up front. Elliott, Bishop, Williams, Smith, and Riesenberg, with Williams and Riesenberg seeing very limited action during the exhibition season. Here is Rodney Hampton on first down across the 20 to the 21-yard line. A gain of a couple. It'll be 2nd and 8. Let's take a look at the very fleet Cowboy defense. Tolbert, Maryland, Lett, and Haley up front. Remember, Charles was talking about retiring, but not seriously, last year. Edwards, Jones, and Godfrey Miles for the unsigned Darren Smith at outside backer. Kevin Smith and Larry Brown are the corners. Darren Woodson and Brock Marion the safeties. Marion taking the place of James Washington, who opted to sign with the Redskins. 2nd down and 8. Callaway in motion. Brown's first pass of the season, caught by Aaron Pierce. He's tackled a little shy of the first down. Nice tackle by Godfrey Miles to save a first down and create a 3rd and 1.
Well, I think everyone in the stadium and everyone watching this game knows what the Giants would like to do, and that is control the ball, control it with short passes like this. They want desperately, Dan, to run the game. What you touched on earlier, this line has not played that much together in preseason, is going to make it very difficult.
Unfortunately, none of them have played very much together. It's a feeling process for all 11 of these guys.
Double tight end set. On 3rd and 1, they give it to Hampton, and Hampton is hit by Robert Jones in the middle. He had to get to the 29. Appears to be a little shy, and the Dallas Cowboys hold the Giants on the first series. Hold them on a 3rd and 1, and Switzer fired up at the outset.
Boy, really the body lean that time favors Rodney Hampton. He's the low man. Robert Jones is kind of high, but look how Jones is able to hold his ground. Frank, you don't see that all that often, where the guy is that straight up and able to stand straight still and hold his runner from getting across the line. Great play by Robert Jones.
The punter, Mike Horan. The line of scrimmage is the 28. Kevin Williams back to accept that it's a low snap, but he gets off a good kick. Good deep kick, and he angles it. And he angles it out of bounds at the 25. Horan is known as a directional punter. He had direction and distance, 47 yards. A beauty. So Dan Reeves watches his defense go out on the field right now. And for the Cowboys, Troy Aikman, first man picked in the draft in 1989. 2 Super Bowl rings, 7th year out of UCLA, the brilliant career. And behind him, the great Emmitt Smith with Darryl Johnston. Irvin and Williams, the wideouts. Harper is now in Tampa Bay. Novacek is the tight end. Tuanay, Newton, Donaldson, the new center. Allen and Eric Williams in a near-fatal auto accident last October. Played 1 preseason game last week, in the lineup at right tackle tonight. From the 25-yard line, Aikman will go right to the air with good protection and fires to the tight end, Jay Novacek. Up at the 39-yard line, it's a gain of 14 and a Cowboy first down. The Giants now defensively. The 4-3. Harris comes in from Minnesota. Hamilton moves to the middle. Agnew, the former Patriot, and Strahan on the outside. Kroll, the former Bronco, as is Brooks, and Corey Miller, the other outside backer. Sparks and Thomas Randolph, the corners. Campbell and Bensie Glenn, the ex-Viking, the safeties in the revamped secondary. Moose Johnston in motion on first down from the 40-yard line. Aikman up top again. Aikman has it dropped by Michael Irvin, who begins his season in a most inauspicious and unexpected fashion.
That will not happen frequently, and I would look for Michael Irvin to try to get himself lined up against Thomas Randolph. Randolph at the right corner for the Giants only goes 5'9". Their left corner, Sparks, is only 5'11". Michael Irvin can fight for the football better than any outside receiver, I think, in the game today.
He looks
just mishandled. He didn't keep his eye on it.
He looked at his hands after the play like, how could you have betrayed me like this? A rare sighting, an Irvin drop.
2nd and 10 with Irvin wide left and Williams in the slot to the left, and Emmitt Smith's first carry of the season is one for the books. He's gone. Emmitt Smith out in front. Touchdown, Dallas.
Whoa.
Untouched, I believe, wasn't he?
I was just going to say, I thought the Cowboys would be going back to the running game. 2 straight passes.
I don't believe that Emmett left a trail of broken tackles on his way to the end zone. I believe when we watch the replay of this, we will see textbook blocking by the Cowboy offensive line.
Just zone blocking, too. That's simple.
Pretty good job of Jesse Campbell getting picked off by the umpire, but still superbly blocked by the Cowboy offensive line. A disheartening opening series for the Giants on defense.
They're big and they're powerful, and they just did that straight away. Nothing fancy at all.
Chris Boniol for the extra point. We have played 3 minutes 4 seconds. Jay Novacek to hold. It's a cliche of the 90s to say one team would like to send the other a message. The Cowboys just sent the Giants a message in all caps.
Yeah, that's a greeting card taped to the end of a sledgehammer. That's what that is.
Look at that.
Happy New Year to the Cowboys. 7-0.
You think they're going to figure something new out, Dan?
They're not getting yelled at, I'll guarantee you that. These guys might be. That's just Jesse Campbell, their number 37. You see him tapping himself on the chest. He got picked off by the umpires. He tried to come in and make the tackle on Smith.
John Baker, the barefooted kickoff specialist. Herschel Walker takes it at the 6-yard line, and Walker is met after a run back of only 11 yards. Tackled by David Lang. ABC's Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Windows 95 from Microsoft. Where do you want to go today? Beechwood aged Budweiser, the king of beers. This Bud's for you. And Jeep, maker of the new Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Well, here's where Dave Brown really doesn't have to try to do it all by himself. He got knocked out of the first preseason. He hurt his elbow. Then he had a concussion in last week's game. He's only had a chance to put the ball in the air 32 times during the preseason. He has got to play conservatively to start this ball game, I think.
Play fake. Deep throws. Catch made up at the 37-yard line. Chris Callaway, who saw so little time during preseason because of a hamstring pull, makes the catch, an 18-yard reception.
And a fine catch it was. That ball thrown high in the air over Callaway. He only goes about 5'10". Watch him now working against that deep safety zone. Breaking back to the inside. Breaking away from Kevin Smith and taking a shot from Kevin Smith, the new millionaire. Signed a 4-year deal with Dallas yesterday. Fine catch.
It would be news if we could find a non-millionaire. Off the play fake. Brown throws. The wobbly pass is caught by Cross up at the 46-yard line. And that's close to a first down. He is wrestled down by Kevin Smith.
Wobbly out, but a well-thrown ball. Throwing that back across his body, and Cross doing a fine job uncovering to give Brown the target.
How about the fake he put on Tony Tolbert before he ever got rid of the football? Dave Brown came out, and there's Tolbert right in his face, and he jukes him big time to buy some extra time. Right there. That's a nifty little move he puts on Tolbert to make that completion possible.
Back-to-back first downs on successive plays, and Rodney Hampton, the heavy-duty one, struggles for a minimal gain. He is tackled by Leon Lett, another sign of a long-term deal. Dan Reeves beginning his 3rd year now as the coach of the Giants. You'll recall he was their 3rd choice. They opted for Tom Coughlin first, and he chose to stay at Boston College. And now is at Jacksonville. Dave Wanstead could have had the job, and they wound up with Dan Reeves. And it's not a bad guy to wind up with.
No, it's not often the 3rd strike ends up being so productive.
He could coach for 12 years at Denver, 3 Super Bowl teams. Over 600 winning percentage.
2nd and 9 from the 48-yard line. Brown flings one. It is caught. There's a flag down. The first penalty of the game. Chris Callaway is the receiver, and the initial indication is that it's going to come back. Bob McElwee is the referee. It'll go against New York.
Number 30. Offense.
Oh, that
5
hurts.
yards.
The
Second
rookie
down.
Charles Way from Virginia, illegally in motion, negates a first down, and a good effort on the part of Chris Callaway, hooking up once again with Dave Brown. And there is Charles Way, a 6th-round draft pick out of the University of Virginia. Surprised the Giants. He is a superb blocker and a good receiver, and was scouted by most teams as a runner, and consequently he went in the 6th round.
Yeah, nobody really projected him as that fullback, Frank. He's actually even put on some weight. He's listed there at 236. Dan Reeves telling us he actually goes closer to 245. He's a real load at that fullback spot.
Needs to get it going in the right direction.
2nd and 14 after what would have been a 12-yard gain. Callaway in motion. Rodney Hampton, he had a hold, but then he runs into Way. And he stopped at the 46-yard line. Robert Jones makes the tackle. Rodney had room except for his teammate.
Way was feeling his way.
Yes, he was. He got in the way.
And Way is making the highlights. He will have some coaching come Wednesday when the Giants return.
He got into the hole, and it looked like he maybe should have kept on going instead of stopping it. Nope, and he kind of got hung up right there on Russell Maryland, working against Lance Smith. Got to be a little more nimble and skip past that thing and continue to be a lead blocker.
3rd and 11. Cowboys leading 7-0. 6 minutes into the game. And we've got a whistle and a flag before the snap. And Bob McElwee.
False start, number 80, offense. 5 yards, 3rd down.
That's Chris Callaway, and 2 penalties now on the Giants.
You know, again, we've talked about the offensive line not playing that much together. The wide receivers have both been out for a long time. Mike Sherrard and Chris Callaway, and they just have not had the work you need in preseason to get yourself toned up to play a game, and you were going to see a lot of early errors, I think.
That starts with the very basics, though, because a wide receiver, he's not going on the snap count. His responsibility is just to look in at the football.
Cowboys go with 7 defensive backs on 3rd and 16, and the Giants set up a middle screen to Herschel Walker, but he is tackled. Charles Haley read it beautifully, smelled it, and he's right there to make the stop.
That's just a spectacular play by Haley. He is just all over this middle screen. Reads it, drifts to the inside. He might as well have been in the Giants huddle.
It's just not rushing passers that Charles Haley contributes so much. He makes plays like that half a dozen times in a game, and they're big plays, forcing the Giants to go to the punt formation. He's just a big play man all over the field.
He's a killer is what he is.
Miranda
Absolutely
kick.
right.
As penalties stymie the Giants, fair catch was called for and made by Kevin Williams at the 20-yard line. So the Cowboys take over there with 7:46 remaining in the first quarter. It's Dallas 7, New York nothing. Dallas on top. 7-0 on a 60-yard Emmitt Smith touchdown run. And it's Emmitt Smith through the middle. And this time they limit him to 8. Knocking his average down to 34 yards a carry tonight. Vincey Glenn makes the tackle.
I wondered what kind of a positive spin you were trying to put on an 8-yard pickup.
Emmitt with 72 rushing touchdowns, tying Tony Dorsett's team mark, and he has 4 as a pass receiver.
And he's only in his 6th year, just starting his 6th year.
What he's had 4 consecutive 1,400-yard plus seasons, working off to a pretty good start, working on number 5.
2nd and a yard and a half, and Emmitt Smith up to the 33. You think of a Walter Payton mark as being one of those unapproachable records, especially the way running backs are pounded these days. But if anybody would have a chance to get close to it, it's Emmitt Smith. He's about halfway to Payton. Cowboys scoring on that first series. That's the first time the Giants have allowed a touchdown on the first drive of a game in the last 38 games. So that's
technically was a drive, I guess.
Right. Almost that's almost 2.5 years worth. On first down, the workhorse Smith behind a Johnston block. It's taken down by Corey Miller as he crosses the 35. It's a gain of 3. It'll be 2nd and 7.
You look at the Dallas Cowboys running the football. First of all, they have the largest offensive line in the National Football League. All these guys in excess of 300, 3 of them in excess of 320. They've got the great Eric Williams back, and it'll take him a while to get back to full swing, but maybe the most dominating offensive lineman in the league. Maybe the best blocking fullback in the league in Daryl Johnston, and maybe the best power running back in the league in Emmitt Smith. In some ways, it's almost not fair.
2nd down and 7, and there's movement on the right side as Williams flinched.
The only thing the Cowboys don't have,
Snap, false start, 79.
and it doesn't hurt them because Jay Novacek is so adept at the passing game, but he's not a very good blocker at the tight end position. But they are so dominant from tackle to tackle and so dominant at the fullback position from a blocking standpoint that they have the luxury of having really just a receiving tight end in the game at all times.
You talked to Danny Reeves about that right side with Eric Williams back at 322 and Larry Allen at 325. He says, man, there's no sunshine over there at all. It's just darkness on the right side. a good way to put it.
And they are, and Frank, as we all know, they're not only big, but they're outstanding.
2nd and 11. Aikman guns one, finds the open man at the 47, and that's Michael Irvin, who found the seam and picks up the first down. Vincent Glenn makes the tackle and is hurt.
Did you see Irvin look that ball into his hands? He went right back to the basics.
Vincey Glenn, who came to the Giants here in a draft day trade, he works the middle of the field. Look at the loft on that ball. There's Glenn, number 25, and it may have been the hit from his own teammate Buckley that caused the damage.
Injury timeout.
Going out, the Giants team physician, Dr. Russell Warren, checking them out on the sidelines.
Tito Wooten comes into the secondary as Emmitt Smith gets tackled by Mike Kroll and Corey Miller after a pickup of 2 up to the 49-yard line. 5 minutes remaining, first quarter. Gorgeous Labor Day night. The Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes, piloted tonight by Larry Chambers, providing a spectacular view of Giants Stadium, now in operation for the 20th season in the Meadowlands in New Jersey.
You know, good force on that last play by Felipe Sparks, who during that injury timeout actually got into a pushing and shoving match with Michael Irvin. They had to be separated, almost had a Donnybrook during a timeout.
2nd and 8. Here's Emmitt Smith. He picks up about 3 to the 48. Ray Agnew makes the tackle, and there are the two of them who will.
They're trying to make up. That's a live shot there. They're, whatever had happened, I guess they're trying to bury the hatchet.
We'll see a lot of each other tonight. You never want to make too much of an early drive in a game, but Dallas leads 7-0. The Giants are not the type of team with an explosive enough offense to afford to fall behind that much that quickly. It's a pretty critical series for the Giant defense here.
It seems strange to say that in the first quarter, but Al, you're absolutely right.
3rd down and 4 from the 47-yard line, and it's thrown behind Irvin, and he can't make the catch, and Dallas has to kick.
That one was not a drop. It's one that could have been caught. It would have been spectacular, but that was a bad throw by Troy Aikman. Right at the first down mark. So the Cowboys will be forced to punt. Take a look again. Little motion. He'll look inside, set up for the first down. He's right on the mark there, and the ball's thrown behind him.
John Jett to punt now. And back to receive Gary Harrell, the 5'7", 170-pounder from Howard University. Harrell calls for a fair catch at the 18-yard line. 3:42 remaining in the opening quarter. The Dallas Cowboys on top, 7-0. Michael Irvin, as the Giants take over at their own 18. Herschel Walker is in the backfield behind Dave Brown. And Herschel, who used to play here with the New Jersey Generals in the USFL, gets ridden out of bounds by Kevin Smith and pushing and shoving on the far sideline.
Well, we've seen a lot of that early in the evening, but this is what you cannot do to Dallas. It's almost impossible to get outside of them. They are a great speed team. They don't have a linebacker that goes 240 pounds, but what they are, quick and fast. They are fast in the defensive line. Is just almost impossible to get to the outside. Well, Herschel is not the kind of back you send to the outside. He can't cut back. He has a lot of talent, but that's not one of them. He cannot cut back, and that's not a good place to send him.
You're right. Any defensive coordinator will tell you, get Herschel going parallel to the line of scrimmage. The battle's been won.
Walker out, Hampton in, 2nd and 10, and it's Leon Lett who comes across the line, and the pass is incomplete. Intended for Callaway, but the Giants will advance 5 yards. Offside, Leon Lett.
Boy, that's when they could have got a big completion on, too. Callaway turning
Offside,
Smith around.
Number 78, defense. 5 yards, 2nd down.
Just taking a guess. Second guy up. That's just anticipating the snap count and trying to. All good defensive linemen do it. The times you get caught, not normally a back-breaking situation. The great ones all cheat and fudge a little bit and periodically get caught.
Well, that's the one thing a quarterback does, is call the snap number, and they get into patterns.
2nd and 5. They line Aaron Pierce up in the backfield to provide blocking for Rodney Hampton. He's up to the 25. It'll be 3rd down and 3. And we will take our show next week to Chicago, where the Bears come off a victory against the Vikings yesterday to face the Packers, who were stunned by the St. Louis Rams. It's the oldest rivalry in the league. It's a beauty. The Packers and the Bears. Soldier Field next Monday night.
Big day for Eric Kramer, who's got that quarterback job back at Chicago.
Hopefully it'll be better weather than the last time we were doing the Packers and the Bears in Chicago.
Guaranteed. 3rd and 3, and this play is dead before the snap.
Refresh your memory, those of you that were with us last year. Remember, that's when they retired Dick Butkus and Gale Sayers' numbers at halftime, and the rain, it was coming in parallel to the ground.
3rd down.
It's Halloween night, and it was frightful.
Yes, it was.
John Elliott was whistled there. On the subject of retirement, you see a lot of banners tonight, and several of the shots we've had as tributes to Phil Simms. And Phil is here, and the great Giant quarterback who spent 15 seasons in a Giant uniform will have his number 11 retired at halftime, and we'll bring it to you.
Last year, Lawrence Taylor, and Lawrence is here tonight, giving in owner Bob Tish's box. What a combination they were.
3rd down and 8 after the penalty. Callaway in motion. Cowboys rush 4 on a stunt. Brown throws over the middle, and up at the 27, he hits Mike Sherrard there, but he appears to be shy of the 1st down, and is. So they complete the pass, but don't get the 1st down.
Well, kind of a cardinal rule. You're going to take that drive upfield. You got to set up for yardage to pick up the 1st down. He set up short of the 1st down, got hit, and the Giants have to bring the punting unit out. Just drive that defender back, get your 1st down yardage.
Mike Horan to kick. Kevin Williams back to receive it. 1:32 remaining in the opening quarter, with the Cowboys on top 7-0 on an Emmitt Smith 60-yard touchdown run. Fair catch called for and made at the 34-yard line. Marker down back at the line of scrimmage. Joe Avezzano, the hyperactive Dallas special teams coach.
Going to say that an ineligible receiver was downfield early for the New York Giants, so the Cowboys will have the option.
Ineligible downfield on the kick. Number 34. That penalty is declined. 1st down. Timeout.
Herschel Walker, who plays on the special team, still does in his 10th year in the league. 1:27 left in the quarter. 7-zip.
Sure, Notre Dame wants to go back into the Big Ten for another game. After losing to the Northwestern Wildcats in a colossal upset.
Here's Aikman on 1st down from the 35. Underneath to Novacek, and he's into Giants territory. Chased down by Tito Wooten at the 46-yard line, a 19-yard gain.
Oh, does he make it easy for the outside receivers of the Cowboys? He plays that tight end almost like a wide receiver. That time juking around. Let's watch him off the line of scrimmage. Watching the linebacker to the inside, makes a little step around, right around Michael Brooks. Just hangs in there, knows he's the open man. And then after he catches the football, he can run with the football. Cardinals cut him a few years ago, back in 1990. Dan, he's caught over 300 balls since they released him.
It's actually a Plan B free agent, but you have to wonder, how could he be unprotected?
Final minute of the quarter. Aikman throws. There he is again. Novacek tackled at the 25-yard line. Mike Kroll gets him from behind. Another 1st down.
Jay Novacek is Troy Aikman's version of a teddy bear. Just his security blanket. His whenever I don't see what I'm looking for, I instantly go to number 84. Corey Miller doing his best to hang with him, grabbing his jersey, doing everything else, but still, Jay Novacek is fast, he's lean, he's fluid. Not a threat to blow a linebacker off the ball, but a threat to run around one and get open downfield every time.
1 second left in the quarter, and they don't get the play off. Time expires before the snap. It'll be 1st down at the 25-yard line for the Cowboys when we start the 2nd quarter. So after 1, thanks to Emmitt Smith, it's Dallas 7 and the Giants nothing. And back we come with Monday Night Football after this message and a word from our ABC station. Tisch, who is the co-chairman, along with Wellington Mara of the Giants, and LT Lawrence Taylor in your shot right there, enjoying the game from the owner's box. The 2nd quarter begins with an Emmitt Smith carry through the middle to the 19-yard line of the Giants, with Dallas on top 7-0. Strahan and Agnew making the stop.
Billy Bidwell ever invite you up to the owner's box, Dan?
I'm not sure Billy had a box at Busch Stadium. He might have just roved the old press box, making sure that everything was in order there. No, I never had that opportunity. Of course, not long after I retired, the team was so devastated they left town.
Second down and 4 from the 19-yard line. Aikman, who is 4 for 6 throws. He's 5 for 7. It's Michael Irvin with some nifty moves. And his niftiness almost took him out of first down range as Michael Brooks makes the tackle. He had it, circled back, and now it's going to be very close at the 9-yard line.
And another good look at Jay Novacek coming off the line of scrimmage. Michael Irvin just went down, hooked up at about 7 yards. Now watch Novacek, bottom of the screen. He will take the defender with him. See number 37, that's Jesse Campbell. 57, Corey Miller going out, clearing the gap, and Michael Irvin setting up in the hole.
Irvin almost makes it look like he's trying to run a pick when he goes in there, almost backing into the guy, trying to gain some separation. There's not a more physical wide receiver in the league than the guy that plays for Barry Switzer, Michael Irvin. Whether it's pushing off, whether it's putting one hand on a corner and then swimming over the top, backing into them, this guy will use any part of his body to hit a guy with to get open. He gets flagged for it very seldom. Yeah, it's because he's so good at what he does. The Cowboys averaging almost 12 yards a play.
And they have a first down at the 14-yard line as you look through the face mask of Emmitt Smith. And now he has the ball, but there's a flag down. Brooks is there on the tackle. Shoving going on with Eric Williams involved there. And Robert Harris. Offside against the Giants.
Well, you touched on it, Al, the last time the Cowboys had the ball.
Offside.
And it's the same
Defense.
situation that we will see from here on out until the Giants do something offensively. And that is, it is a crucial series every time that the Giants defense is on the field against the Cowboys offense. They cannot fall very far behind.
You know, we talked about Jay Novacek not being too good a blocker from that tight end, not very big. They drafted Kendall Watkins out of Mississippi State, a rookie 305-pound tight end. He's in there now in a double tight end set for the Cowboys.
1st and 5. Vincey Glenn, who was shaken up earlier. The Giant safety is back in the game. Smith swings to the outside and knifes to the 8.5-yard line. He's tackled there by Mike Kroll.
And he also drafted another tight end who's sitting this game out because he's got a bad shoulder. That guy right there, Eric Bjornsson, who is more of the Jay Novacek type. He's more of the receiver. And boy, are they high on this guy here. They think he'll be back next week. There's Watkins, 83. The Cowboys just keep on keeping on. They had a good draft this year. A lot of guys that can play.
Bjornsson was out of Washington, was a combination quarterback, running back, receiver, superb athlete, and has done really well in camp for the Cowboys.
2nd and 3. Emmitt Smith wrestled back as he reaches the 7-yard line, setting up a 3rd and 2. Michael Brooks leads the charge, the middle linebacker.
Good stout work there by the Giants defensively. That's the best they've looked so far at jamming the middle and knocking everybody back. There's Michael Brooks, 94, the middle plugger, as they call him. Little cross blocking. Nate Newton comes across. Look how nicely Brooks falls off to the inside, though. Gets in on the play along with Ray Agnew.
What a fine read on the part of Brooks.
Yeah,
Saw that pulling guard, stepped right into the hole.
Agnew was there as well. And look at this, Emmitt Smith approaching 100 yards. And we're just barely into the 2nd quarter.
The New York crowd with that throaty roar. They know this is a big play early in the game, and the Dallas Cowboys have another touchdown. Aikman to Irvin on a 3rd and 2 from the 7-yard line. Michael Irvin takes it into the end zone.
Simple little pattern, Irvin. And you have to play those receivers so much tighter down around the goal line, and the Giants not doing that. Irvin just setting up there in the gap, and Troy Aikman firing it right into the numbers. Irvin just working his way along until he got a little bit of a gap. Aikman with a fine shot, and Irvin does the rest.
Michael Brooks,
play him a lot tighter when you get down around that goal line.
Brooks was the closest guy to him and tried to make the tackle, but didn't even get a piece of him.
Chris Boniol tacks on the extra point. 11:58 left in the first half. Opening night. The Cowboys 14, the Giants nothing. halftime. He'll have his jersey number 11 retired after a distinguished 15-year career, and it's part of our halftime coverage tonight. You'll see it.
What year was it, Frank, that they retired number 16?
John Baker to kick off, and down to the 9-yard line. This is Herschel Walker. Back up to the 26. As long as they don't retire it with you in it, Frank. ABC's Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Bud Ice and 96-calorie Bud.
I guess that means they haven't retired number 16 yet.
Well, we're not going to get into that on a Phil Simms night. When I talked to him for the game, I said, could I change one of those 1s to a 6?
Well, they should.
Giants at the 26-yard line as Brown throws, and it is incomplete. Chris Callaway couldn't make the play, and Kevin Smith is over there covering on the play.
Kevin Smith almost made the play, and it would have been 6. But a good delivery by Dave Brown. He has a real strong arm. Big man, 6'5", 224-pounder.
Can't throw it any better than that.
No, you can't.
Callaway missed a lot of the preseason with a bad hamstring, along with Mike Sherrard, and you know, it's going to happen, Frank. These guys aren't ready.
Look how close Kevin Smith was to that ball, and yet he was completely turned around. He's a fine cornerback.
That was Brown's first incomplete pass. Fake draw. Good protection. Wobbly pass. Almost picked off by Smith. The floater. Callaway, the intended receiver.
I'll tell you,
Marker down. Flag down at the line of scrimmage.
Well, Smith was
Callaway on the wrong page there. Callaway started to pull up, and Dave Brown threw that down the middle of the field.
Well, Kevin Smith was going to be a free agent at the end of this season, and he just got big bucks yesterday.
Holding. Number 61. Offense. 10 yards. Second down.
Goes against Lance Smith, the right guard, but Kevin Smith rewarded with a monster contract, something along the lines of a $5 million signing bonus going to Kevin Smith, and that's one less free agent that Jerry Jones and the Cowboys have to worry about defensively. They still got Darren Woodson, Russell Maryland, Dixon Edwards, Robert Jones. All these guys will still be free agents, but they've solidified the corner. One corner.
And they still think they'll get Deion Sanders, and in the second half tonight we'll detail the latest on Deion. Second down as Brown throws, and it's dropped. Incomplete. Sherrard, the intended receiver, and he heard Larry Brown coming up from behind.
Another fine cornerback too. Larry Brown, a 12th round draft pick in '91. But the Cowboys defense put so much pressure on these two corners. The two safety men, Brock Murray and Darren Woodson, they play the run so tough. If they read run, they're up there to make the tackle. You go play action, and these cornerbacks are both expected to pick up man for man and play without support from either safety, and they do a great job with it.
But with the great heat from the defensive line in their favor, Frank,
well,
they don't get hung out there for 5 and 6 seconds at a time.
It's a great combination.
Yes, sir.
3rd and 20 from the 16. 11 and a half to go in the half. 14-0 Dallas, and that's incomplete. The coverage is great. Brown was throwing off his back foot and gets decked in the process.
Dan Reeves is incensed over on the
lead unloaded on Dave Brown.
Well, I think he's arguing that that Larry Brown had some contact over there along the sidelines. Boy, is he upset.
He's right in front of Dan Reeves.
He's going to try to find anybody he can to yell at. Let's watch Larry Brown here working on Sherrard. Now, see right there, he's jamming him and not looking back at the ball at all. That should have been called.
Mike Horan having a very active night. That's always a bad sign when your punter's in the game a lot. Moves a beauty down to the 35-yard line, and Kevin Williams brings it back out to the 40. Reeves still livid.
Well, you know, he's got reason to be upset.
11-17 left in the half.
He's right.
The great in the game, a native of Brazil, but he grew up in Brooklyn, and he's the star of Murder One, which premieres Tuesday night, September 19th here on ABC, and then eventually moves to Thursday nights. Stephen Bochco created it. It is a sensational show. Daniel Benzali looking on tonight at Giants Stadium.
And a rabid Giants fan.
He is a big Giants fan. He was in the booth a while ago. Quite a guy.
Dallas from the 41-yard line. Aikman throws. Michael Irvin makes the catch, and that's a first down in Giant territory at the 48-yard line. 11-13 to go. Dave Brown has that look. His team down 14-0.
again is 23. Thomas Randolph, we talked about it earlier. He's 5'9", and you're putting a 6'2" Michael Irving on him, who has the great moves you saw right there to separate himself from Randolph. He also has the ability to take it away from him. He is a battler.
And Randolph, another one of those guys who's been hurt most of the preseason and has gotten very little quality work in.
Emmitt Smith finds a hole, knifes to the 36-yard line. Corey Miller makes the tackle.
Right over the right side, Eric Williams, who came back last week to full contact in the final preseason game and looked good in doing so, but still a little bit rusty. One of the great tackles ever to play this game over the right side. Larry Allen, who had filled in for him last year, played 10 games at that spot, has moved to the left guard. This is one huge good offensive line.
Emmitt Smith now over 100 yards, 5 straight games against the Giants in triple figures. End around, Kevin Williams, room to roam. Tackled at the 25-yard line, caught from behind to save what would have been another 10-yard pickup. Thomas Randolph with a stop, 12-yard gain, and another Cowboy first down.
And what the Giants lose when they lost Alvin Harper was the leaping ability, the threat of him going deep. But what they've gained with Kevin Williams replacing him is that maneuver right there. He is a very fine broken field runner, good when he catches the football. He won't go up, of course, like Alvin Harper did. Few people have ever done that. But once he gets his hands on the football, he is a threat to go all the way.
First down from the 25-yard line. Over the middle, they set up the screen. Not a particularly good-looking screen, but it becomes a lot better looking when you have Emmitt Smith on the other side of it.
Well, I mean, that was ugly, and he turned it into a thing of beauty.
Isn't it funny the way it works?
Mike Kroll has a lot of speed. He's a good tackler. Former #1 draft pick for Reeves at Denver. But he was just catching air. He thought Emmitt was going to be there. Watch this. Number 51 is Mike Kroll. He has a good shot at this, but forget it. Emmitt's out of there.
Sherman Williams comes into the game, the rookie from Alabama. On second down and 10 at the 24-yard line. So Williams in the backfield. Here is Sherman's first NFL carry. And it's a good one. To the 12-yard line, and a Cowboy first down. Bensie Glenn makes the stop.
There is a whole lot of staring going on at one another taking place right now in the Giants defensive huddle. They have the look of a squad that is just back on their heels and trying to figure out how they can stop the damage and stop the bleeding. Over 100 yards already, over 10 yards per carry. It was nice of Emmitt to give Sherman a carry or two, but
Emmitt must have went for a shin strap or something.
This has the makings of a big-time rout if the Giants don't settle down.
Emmitt threading and picking, and finally upended at the 8-yard line. Thomas Randolph in on the stop, but not until Emmitt had picked up another 5. 107 yards already tonight for Emmitt Smith in just 22 minutes of play, and this is nothing new for the Giants. They have seen this act before. There it is. Last 5 games against the Giants. 120, 117, 168, 163 on a Monday night game last year, and 107 already tonight.
He didn't play the final game last year because the Cowboys had clinched everything they could.
Second and 5. The blitz is on and the pass is high, and because the Giants were able to come sprinting through, Michael Brooks able to deck Aikman and create the errant throw.
And the crowd reacts.
A little hope in that.
That's one of those deals where even though it was nothing more than an incomplete pass, the fact that Michael Brooks knocked Troy Aikman on his keister excited everybody here.
Dangerous blitz in this area, and Michael Brooks was able to carry it off.
3rd and 5 at the 8. 7:40 left first half. Giants trailing Dallas.
Yeah, this is where the Giants defense has to attack. The secondary has to be with their receivers all the way.
3rd and 5. Johnston, and the Moose takes it to the half-yard line. He didn't get in, but it's a 1st and goal. So the Moose, who's been quiet tonight, the blocking back and occasional ball carrier and occasional receiver, all of a sudden, the minute you forget about him, picks up a key first down.
There's just so many different things that Daryl Johnston brings to the table. The blocking, the leadership, but really the pass receiving. 44 catches last year. A good spot by the officials. He did not get in. It's on the 6-inch yard, the 6-inch line, and this is where the Giants are outmanned by the bulk of the Cowboys.
Emmitt Smith untouched.
Look. Emmett found a few cameras in the back of the end zone.
Well, it's the only time they'll play Broadway all year, and he's going to make the most of it.
And they are a smash hit. The reviews are in. Look at that line explode off.
2-A, Watkins. It's really not supposed to be that easy.
That's the 77th touchdown of his career in his 78th game. Only Jim Brown has more touchdowns than games played in the history of the National Football League. So Emmett was some pretty good company. Extra point by Boniol is good. 6:52 to the half, and the Cowboys 21, the Giants nothing. And the Cowboys with John Baker. He's the kickoff specialist only. Boniol kicks the field goals, and that's why they have him. He sends one sailing down to the 3. Thomas Lewis picked it back up at the goal line. No coverage at all, or no protection at all for him. The coverage was good. A flag is down. Charlie Williams makes the stop at the 11-yard line.
And you say, how can it get any worse? Well, it's about to. Bad field position is now going to become worse field position.
Well, how can it get any better for Jerry Jones? His team leads 21-0, and Jerry
Illegal block in the back during the return. Number 20 of the return team.
Prime exposure.
To the goal line.
Has picked this time to announce that he and Nike are joining forces, announcing a 7-year exclusive sponsorship agreement between Nike and Texas Stadium. He, along with Phil Knight, who is the CEO of Nike, a mysterious and somewhat reclusive man, and that's Phil Knight in a cowboy hat. Some think he is the most powerful man in sports, running the Nike empire, and the two have linked up in a deal exclusive to the Cowboys, though Knight has said in the press release, along with Jones, he still seeks a licensing agreement with the NFL. This is a major, major story. We know it has a business ramification for the most part as Brown throws, and Walker makes the catch and goes out of bounds at the 12-yard line, but it will send shockwaves throughout the National Football League.
Well, what this does is that, again, it's just another Jerry Jones deal where he's branching out and creating and extending his own marketing arm. He, again, wants to stress that he's just talking about creating excess revenue. He doesn't want to do away with the shared revenue concept in the NFL. But this, Al, you're right. This has shock tremors that are going to be felt in all the other 29 NFL cities.
Well, this is second and 2 as Hampton takes it up to the 14-yard line.
This is a right-in-your-face maneuver. The commissioner is here tonight, and the press release released by Jerry Jones, the headline is Cowboys owner bucks NFL again. So if that's not an in-your-face, well,
as of
I've never seen one.
As of right now, Nike does not have a licensing agreement with the National Football League. So again, Jerry is kind of going outside the family, as he did with the Pepsi-Cola deal, where they became the official soft drink of Texas Stadium.
On 3rd and 1, Rodney Hampton fights his way for a first down as the Giants get out of the shadows of their own goalpost, and the crowd responds as they take it up to the 29.
And a couple good plays here by the Giants. Boy, did they need to get out of the shadow.
Play by Herschel Walker. That was a great pass by Dave Brown. Almost took a safety in the end zone 2 plays ago. Got the ball out to Herschel Walker, and it was just a great effort. And watch this. Hampton almost breaks this one. Something good happening for the Blue.
1st and 10 at the 29-yard line. Brown throws, and something bad happens as Charles Way drops the pass. What will this mean? The average fan, it's very difficult, I know, to comprehend all of these numbers and salary cap figures. It does not mean that the Cowboys have any more money under the salary cap, but they will have a lot more money going into their coffers. Remember, they've made the Pepsi deal when the Coca-Cola company is the official sponsor of the NFL, and apparently there are other deals that Jones is working on and is prepared to announce.
I got to follow up to that after this play.
2nd down and 10 at the 28-yard line. And that's incomplete. And a flag is thrown.
When the Giants are acting like this, they'll go against the Cowboys.
Dixon Edwards was the defender on the play.
And it does indeed go against Dallas, so some good things here are happening for the
Defensive
Giants.
pass interference, number 58. Automatic first down.
This partnership with Nike that Jerry describes, the question I think that a lot of people are going to ask as we watch this replay of Dave Brown going across the middle, and boy, you can see it cleanly. Edwards all over Aaron Pierce. But the question is going to be, Nike represents so many athletes. They have so many athletes tied into endorsement contracts. Are those athletes going to be funneled towards the Dallas Cowboys?
As Sherrard makes the catch, and among those athletes, that's a 9-yard gain. Among those athletes, one Deion Sanders. Another athlete under contract to them is here tonight, and she's busy across the city, is Monica Seles, still alive in the U.S. Open tennis tournament.
She's a hard hitter, but I'm not sure that she's really a suitable candidate for the Dallas Cowboys. But you know my point. You know, there's so many guys in this league that have endorsement deals with Nike. What happens when they become free agents? Or is there a natural funnel towards the Cowboys?
2nd and 1. Brown going deep. Contact, but they are going to rule incidental contact. Sherrard and Darren Woodson bumping and banging, but incidental. So it'll be 3rd down. In any event, that's the business story of the night, and we'll talk about Deion and what this might mean for Deion in the second half.
All right, let's get back to this game, Frank.
Kevin Smith on the outside. He covers more ground after he gets turned around. On the inside, he's going to get help from Darren Woodson as Dave Brown tried to force it into the coverage. No chance.
And as you see, the ball wasn't even in the frame there. It was still a good 6 yards away.
3rd and 1, and Rodney Hampton with a good second effort picks up the first down. He was initially stopped, but he broke out of the would-be tackle of Dixon Edwards, and then was able to move forward, pick up the first down at the 44 with 4:05 to go in the half, and the Cowboys on top 21-0, and the Giants looking for any spark.
Well, they have certainly enjoyed the best drive of the game so far here in the waning moments of the second quarter. They started back at their own 5-yard line and have driven all the way out here with some good solid football.
Hampton tackled back of the line of scrimmage. Penetration by Robert Jones, and a fumble. You saw Dave Brown come sprinting over, and the Giants were able to retain possession.
So tough to break back against the grain of these Cowboys. They pursue laterally so quickly with the defensive line, Russell Maryland, Leon Lett, and real swift linebackers. Russell Maryland, one of those Cowboys that could become a free agent after this season. There'll be a lot of people who would like to get their hands on him.
Darren Woodson is shaken up, the Cowboy safety. 3:26 to the half. 3-touchdown lead for Dallas.
Number 26, defense. Automatic first down.
Well, just as you talked about Jumbo Elliott on the left side, he gave Charles Haley some shot and allowed this completion. Now, you can't do this 5 yards. You can't do that period. That was holding, but you cannot chuck after 5 yards.
That sloppy play by Kevin Smith. That's just really sloppy play.
This giant drive began at their 6-yard line. They're at the Cowboy 15. It's 1st and 10. That was a 24-yard penalty, and Hampton can't get outside because Leon Lett bear hugs him. Leon Lett stopping him. 2nd and 10. 2-minute warning. Cowboys 21. Giants nothing. Swan, Swanee.
Thank you, Alan. With Micah, congratulations on the win tonight. You just seem to be steamrolling the field over at the U.S. Open.
I played some great tennis. I played a very tough match today. So it's just so much fun playing at the Open. It's so exciting, and I'm just having a great time.
So it's just football game tonight, a little diversion for you just to take your mind off the competition?
Definitely. I had a tough match today, so I wanted to do something fun, and I love to watch football, so I want to come out and watch the game.
Okay, let's go back upstairs to Al for a second.
All right, thank you, Lynn. As the Giants have it, 2nd down and 10 from the 15-yard line. Brown under pressure. Look out, sack, fumble Giants recovered. Riesenberg recovers it, but Tony Tolbert came in from the rear for the sack. And that pushes the Giants all the way back to the 24-yard line. Tolbert has now picked up at least one sack in each of his last 7 games against the New York Giants.
And that's a hustle sack because he's coming all the way across the formation. He's the left end, and he's the farthest defensive lineman from where Dave Brown ended up. But yet he covered the ground, hustled over there, and got the hit. And it was a smart play and an alert play by Riesenberg to cover up the ball.
After he had beaten Riesenberg.
Yeah. It was good coverage downfield. You're exactly right on being coverage sack.
So timeout is taken now by the Giants. And let's go back to Lynn Swann for a moment.
The Cowboys have something in common. Yeah.
All right. Swanee, we're ready for you. No rehearsal.
All right. I was asking Monica, your favorite football team.
Well, as a person living in very close to Tampa, I support a lot the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because I'm hometown. But otherwise, I love the Cowboys, and I saw them 2 weeks ago in Toronto, and I'm here to watch them tonight also. So I mean, they're just great.
Is that because they're playing football tonight the way you play tennis?
Probably a little bit has something to do with that, but they're just a great team, and this team rolling tonight. So what can you say?
Okay, Monica, we wish you well. Everyone's glad to see you back in tennis. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Lynn. It is great to see Monica back and playing as well as she is, as she continues her pursuit of the U.S. Open title. The Giants continuing their pursuit of trying to get back into the game. It is 3rd and long as Brown goes for the end zone and overthrows the intended receiver, Mike Sherrard.
Again, throwing into double coverage. Kevin Smith was there with Brock Marion and Kevin Smith.
Yeah, Woodson was shaken earlier. Now Kevin Smith, he of the new rich contract.
Right heel. Let's take a look at it again. He's got outside coverage. Brock Marion's got the inside, and he just was. I didn't see him take a misstep or anything, and he is in agony. Maybe we could carry that replay just a little further.
Well, you don't want to speculate on anything, but they're grabbing the back of it, back in that Achilles region.
Let's take it all the way now.
Kevin Smith is 26. He's let's follow him on through here.
He's looking at the ball there, and all of a sudden, right there.
Right there.
Ooh.
Boy, he did not want to put any weight on that right foot.
Yeah, so Kevin Smith shaken. Phil Simms, meanwhile, walking through the catacombs of the stadium, and this crowd will go wild when he comes out. At halftime tonight, we will have the retirement ceremony and then check in with Brent Musburger for the other news around the National Football League on this first weekend of the regular season. Phil, the funny thing is they had to wait a year for Phil's retirement ceremony because he had thought about playing last season, and then he, during the off season, had gone to Cleveland to talk to the Browns about possibly signing with them, and then opted to retire from football and left ESPN to go with NBC.
I talked to him before the game and I was congratulating him on the retirement, and I said, Phil, aren't you glad you're not with Cleveland? Because he seems happy in broadcasting. He really seems to enjoy it, and kind of a whimsical look came into his eye. And he's an old warhorse, one of the greats ever to play this game. He had the good years and the bad years and the ups and downs, and he always gave it 100%. And you see now Kevin Smith is getting the golf cart treatment, and we'll try and get a report on him.
Again, without speculating, if the Kevin Smith injury is the type of injury as the Mara family gets ready to honor Phil along with the Simms family, if Kevin Smith is out for any length of time, how much more important would that make the signing of one Deion Sanders to the Dallas Cowboys?
I think you already know the answer to that question. It makes it a great deal more important, and we're not going to speculate as to how long Kevin Smith might be out, but those are always the ones you worry about when you see somebody that goes down like that. And of course, there's a guy who just invested millions and millions of dollars in Kevin Smith.
42-yard field goal attempt by Dallas. We saw is blocked. It is blocked by the Cowboys, and that's
a shame.
Might be Leon Lett, who's who's blocked a few in his career.
That's a shame for Dan Reeves and his ball club that they drove it the length of the field, that they really showed something, being down 21-0, putting together by far and away their best offensive drive of the game, and still have a goose egg on the scoreboard.
Dalwiso had made 12 straight over the last 2 years. David Treadwell was their short field goal kicker last year, and Dalwiso taking over the job exclusively this season.
How many times have we seen Leon let go up like that, timing it out beautifully? Number 78 gets that hand up. He's 6'6" going up, but he times it so beautifully.
And here are the Cowboys with plenty of time, 1:06, and don't expect them to sit on the football at the 33-yard line. No, sir. As Aikman will go to the air. Aikman comes back this way and throws it at the feet of Moose Johnston.
The way they've been going, they could call the sit on a play and it'd still get in the end zone.
Well, they haven't been on the field in a while. The Giants held the ball for a long time. The big cat relaxes over there, jaws a little bit with Charles Haley and Russell Maryland. What an extraordinary player he has developed into.
He is the all-time Monday Night Football field goal blocker. Last year, remember, he had 2 in that overtime game against Detroit. He had 1 in our preseason game at Denver a couple of weeks ago, and now tonight. And this is Sherman Williams taking it up to the 39-yard line.
It helps to be 6'6", but there are a lot of players 6'6". They do not time their leap like Leon Lett. He gets the surge across the line of scrimmage. He goes up, and somehow or other, he has a clock in his head. The timing is perfect, and he's teamed over in that side with Charles Haley, and what a combination they are.
It's that eye-hand coordination, Frank, and a lot of the great ones had it. You know what was really good at was Too Tall Jones. Blocking passes. He had this wonderful feel of exactly when to put that arm up in the air.
Sherman Williams gets taken down by Ray Agnew, the former Patriot. The Giants are now going to take a timeout to conserve some time and get the ball back, but only 21 ticks remain.
You're right, Frank. You make a valid point. There's always been big people. There's always been tall people. There's always been this guy that could run fast. Why is it some guys just have the knack of doing things? Regardless of the sport, some people just have a presence that other people don't. Look at this guy.
Speaking of a presence, talking to his offensive line.
Well, just one of the great competitors that's ever played.
One of the great people. He is some fine gentleman. He's a classy man.
And I'd be talking to my offensive line, too, if I'm Emmitt Smith. I'd be taking them to dinner. I'd be buying them cars. I'd be wining and dining them any way I could.
Hit him with a few Rolexes, all that sort of.
Oh, man. I'd do anything but feed them. I'm not sure.
When I played, we
want to strap that on.
Afford a Timex.
Look, I played with a couple guys who couldn't spell Rolex.
And a couple of guys who couldn't read a watch. John Jett to the 15-yard line. Gary Harrell up to the 32-yard line as he runs it back there, and only 10 seconds remain in the half.
I played with a couple guys who wrote with crayons.
Conrad.
The big fat ones. The big fat ones.
You work right now with a couple of guys who write with crayons, I think. Goodyear blimp, stars and stripes hovering above Giant Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey.
Oh, we need rain back here desperately in the Northeast, but it has been such a beautiful few days.
You're right about that. It's been New York at its very best.
So the Giants, with 10 seconds left, come up for 1 or 2 plays as Dave Brown attempts to get them into field goal range, which is going to be very difficult to do, and stop the clock in the process. Slide, well, stop at the 39-yard line. So nothing happening downfield, and Brown has to eat it, and that's the end of the first half. Not a good one for the Giants, but the Cowboys are in midseason form. Halftime. The Cowboys leading the Giants 21-0. Crowd booing as the Giants leave the field, but they'll be all cheers in a few minutes for the Phil Simms retirement ceremony. Part of our halftime activities on Monday Night Football.
The Toyota Halftime Report, brought to you by Toyota and their full line of quality cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. From our New York studios, your host, Brent Musburger.
You know, even before the injury suffered by Kevin Smith, the Dallas Cowboys were heavy favorites to sign Deion Sanders. Now it'll cost Jerry Jones a few more bucks. The Pittsburgh Steelers, desperate for a defensive back tonight. Peter King of Sports Illustrated traveled to that city today on the NFL beat to find out about the injuries that decimated the Steelers yesterday.
Brent, the news is worse than expected in Pittsburgh. The Steelers have lost their great corner, Rod Woodson, almost certainly for the year. He told me today he's going to have a patella tendon transplanted to replace the torn right ACL from yesterday's game against Detroit. But worse, quarterback Neil O'Donnell, thought only to be out maybe 2 weeks after breaking his pinky yesterday, will be out at least 3 now, maybe longer, because he had to have a plate and screws attached in his right hand today. But Brent, back to Woodson's injury. It's sure to ignite the furor over artificial turf around the NFL. Now 2 stars in 3 weeks, Rod Woodson and Kajana Carter, have been lost for the year due to injuries suffered on artificial turf.
Well, they might also want to consider outlawing moves like Barry Sanders put on Woodson. And just to balance this story out, Michael Dean Perry last night, playing on grass in Denver for the Broncos, suffered a knee injury, surgery tomorrow, out 3 to 12 weeks. Meanwhile, did you see the excitement at Indianapolis on the part of the Bengals? I mean, Dave Shula acted like he just won the Super Bowl. We spoke with the Bengals coach.
Well, it was a good feeling, Brandon. We've had some tough times around here with some injuries that not only Kajana suffered, but Dave Klingler and Steve Tovar as well. And it was a welcome relief yesterday. The guys played very hard. They hung in there in a ball game that came down to overtime, and Doug Pelfrey did a great job for us in kicking us to the win. Dave, major injuries suffered by the Pittsburgh Steelers. What does that do to the AF Central Division race now? Well, that's up to the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, we've had to face it, and there'll be certainly a lot of other teams that have to go through it as we go through this 1995 schedule in the NFL. It's just a fact of life, and they're a fine football.
Expectations are never higher than when a quarterback is drafted in the first round. So when the New York Giants chose Phil Simms from Kentucky's Morehead State in 1979, the mandate was to lead the team to its first Super Bowl. The early years were filled with promise, but injuries to Simms and generally mediocre personnel kept the Giants at arm's length from a title. Then in 1986, in his 8th season, Phil Simms guided his club to the NFC Championship. And in Super Bowl 21 against Denver, he was near perfect. On the brightest stage, Simms played his greatest game, completing 22 of 25 passes and winning the MVP award as the Giants mauled at Denver. 4 years later, he blazed a regular season trail that would lead the Giants to another Super Bowl win, a triumph over Buffalo. He'd be forced to watch from the sidelines on crutches. By then, though, he'd become the people's choice because of his skills and heart. No quarterback consistently absorbed more punishment, and his resilience was what the Giants fans admired most. Tough guys should come to work with a 3-day growth, mood dark and brooding, mud-caked hands and a raspy voice. Phil Simms showed up every week with a Mountain Dew sparkle and a Kentucky lilt and craftsman's hands running through white blonde locks. Phil Simms gave tough a different look, and that's why his number 11 will be retired now. The PA announcer is Jim Hall.
Ladies and gentlemen, number 11, Phil Simms. Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the 50-yard line where Giants President Wellington Mara will make a special presentation.
Phil, before I ask you to put number 11 on one more time in Giant Stadium, I want to tell you that the Giants plan to have our own Giant Football Hall of Fame someday soon here in our home stadium. It goes without saying that you will be one of the very first inductees into that Hall of Fame. And Lawrence Taylor also. I think you both know that you're already in my own personal Hall of Fame. Phil, as I give you this jersey, I know that I share the mixed emotions of all the Giant family. There are regrets and there is sorrow that this is the last time. But there is also gratitude and an all-abiding pride that you did wear our colors. You wore them so long. You wore them so well. And your wearing brought such honor to us. And now, number 11 is yours to keep always and to cherish, just as all of us will always keep and cherish the unforgettable memories you leave with us and the class that you brought to us. Thank you. God help.
Thank you. Let me start out saying thank you to Mr. Mara and the Mara family for providing an atmosphere as an athlete that gave me every chance in the world to succeed. I also want to thank Mr. Tisch for his wonderful help. Oh, no. And also, I want to say thank you to the late Tim Mara, who did so many wonderful things to help the organization. I stand here because of football, the greatest team sport in the world. I stand here because of a great team effort. I want to thank all my ex-teammates, all the coaches who made this possible for me being here tonight. I want to say a special thanks to my family, all my brothers and sisters who supported me my whole life. Also, I want to give a special thanks to my wife and my children for putting up with a grouchy dad for 15 years. Before I go, I want to give a special thanks to two people. First, George Young, for having the courage to draft an unknown quarterback out of Morehead State in 1979. But I want to give a special thanks to a coach of mine, Bill Parcells, who helped me grow up as a man and make me reach my full potential as a player. I had two wishes when the Giants, and when we decided that I couldn't play no more. One, I wanted to run out in this field one more time. I got that wish tonight. To see the fans one more time. To let you know it took 15 years of hard work to earn your respect, and it was well worth the effort. I will always remember the Giant fans. And lastly, for that second wish, I wanted to throw one more pass in my Giant jersey So, who better to catch that pass than the greatest Giant player of all, Lawrence Taylor?
One last touchdown pass for the ages. Phil Simms, number 11. His number retired tonight at Giants Stadium. Back for the second half. They're back to receive the kick off the foot of Brad Dalwiso, and that's a beauty. 2 years ago, that one would have been out of the back of the end zone. Touchback, and Dallas has it at the 20. Monday Night Football is being brought to you by create a higher standard than the Cowboys in the first half. Dan Reeves knows that all too well. He's on the short end of a 3-touchdown deficit. And the Cowboys begin by sending Moose Johnston flanked wide right. In a set we've not seen before. Kevin Williams in motion. Troy Aikman to throw. Comes back the other way. And Michael Irvin makes the catch. So they do all that razzle-dazzle and come back to their bread-and-butter guy for a 16-yard pickup and a first down.
Well, it was a good blitz pickup. The Giants opening with the blitz against Troy Aikman, and they picked it up in time for Troy to look over the field. It was a good read by Irvin, also reading the blitz. Pretty strong arm, too. He threw that off balance and whipped it across the field. Look at that. That's just with his arm.
And like all great receivers, Michael Irvin always makes something happen after the catch. Very Jerry Rice-like in that respect.
Here's Emmitt Smith, who had a very big first half. Stopped after a gain of 1 up at the 38-yard line. Michael Brooks pounds him back.
Michael Brooks at middle linebacker this year for the Giants. Was able to move in there when Mike Kroll came as a free agent for the Denver Broncos.
And that helps the Giants. It really does help. He's much more effective in the middle. Kroll gives them the ability to come off the corner. He had some success early out in Denver as a pass rusher. So I think it makes the Giants a little more solid defensively.
On 2nd down and 9, some clinching going on up front, and flags are down. Bob McElwee, the ref.
Prior to the snap, false start, right tackle. Offensive right tackle. 5 yards, 2nd down.
Garrett Williams maybe just timing off a little bit. He just played last week for the first time since, what, a year ago in October. First time back in combat.
And he just had 17 snaps last week, and that's his entire preseason. And other than locking up one-on-one with Charles Haley a little bit and some of the great Cowboy defensive linemen, darn right this guy is going to feel his way for a while. Oh, is he special.
2nd and 14. Aikman over the middle, and there is Kevin Williams taking it to the 46. Last year the number 3 receiver, and with the departure of Alvin Harper as a free agent to Tampa Bay, he's the number 2 guy this year. 21-yard gain.
Willie Beeman's locked up one-on-one with Kevin Williams and just is not able to stay up with it. Again, just out of the slot, right across the middle. Nothing fancy about it at all. It's just the pinpoint accuracy of Aikman throwing and the quality of the skill people for the Cowboys.
And they're taking what they're being given by the Giants defense. They're working underneath. They're working to the outside, not trying to go up high and get anything big.
Until now, when they go to Novacek to the 31-yard line, and that's another first down and a gain of 15 as Jesse Campbell makes the tackle.
Well, this is not a tight end beating a linebacker, as you so often see. This is a tight end thoroughly beating a safety man, Jesse Campbell.
I watched Troy Aikman throw the football, and I think back to what Dan Reeves told us yesterday. And this is a man in Dan Reeves who's been around the NFL for a long time. And he said Troy Aikman is the most accurate passer he has ever seen. And you know Dan Reeves, he throws compliments around like manhole covers. The most accurate passer he has ever seen in the game.
Emmitt Smith. Vintage Emmitt Smith. And they just do knock him out of bounds. That's the good news. The bad news is he gains another 29 on a play call coming down from Ernie Zampese.
Emmitt Smith has, we've all known of his impressive stiff arm, but I think Thomas Randolph is the guy that he stiff arms there and almost embarrasses Randolph. Randolph never does get to his body and barely gets him out of bounds. You wouldn't think for a guy as small as Emmitt Smith that he is strong enough to keep a guy away from him. Watch this. He's going to break to the sidelines. Now let's watch the right arm of Emmitt Smith. Right here. There's Randolph, 23. And he just pushed him away and kept him away.
He gets to the 1-yard line where Maurice Douglas makes the tackle. Emmitt Smith now has had the best day of any running back on this first weekend. Terry Allen had 131 yards yesterday for the Washington Redskins.
There was a good look. He got it up on the face mask, and that's too high. But it threw Randolph away from him. Wouldn't allow him to get to his body.
Randolph only goes about 175 pounds. And you're going to be on the you got to play through that arm. You got to come in low to him.
You got to be underneath it.
You got to be under it.
Second and goal. Smith 138 yards and seeking his third touchdown. And there is the hat trick for Emmitt Smith.
This is a whipping. A good old-fashioned country whipping being put on by Barry Switzer's boys on the Giants.
Just under 4 minutes on that drive that started at their 20-yard line.
Well, some speculation, and we asked Barry about it yesterday, that this would be his last year no matter what happens. That he'd go out in a blaze of glory if he won, or he'd say that his neck bothered him too much if he lost. And he said that speculation is crazy.
He's happy as a clam.
Yeah, I could see why somebody would want to quit coaching this totally untalented group of football players.
Bonio for the point after. And 11:03 remains in the third quarter. 3 touchdowns for Smith. Emmitt 78 in 78 games during his career, and the Cowboys lead at 28-6. Anything but, as Herschel Walker gets set to run the kickback.
I'm glad they got to stretch their vocal cords and warm up the palms of their hands during the halftime ceremony for Sims, because there has been absolutely nothing to cheer about in the interim.
John Baker sends it down to Thomas Lewis, and Lewis comes back out to the 28-yard line. He's tackled there by Bill Bates. The Giants will go on the road, and they'll go to Kansas City next week and then to Green Bay. And the Cowboys go home, and after a short week will open up their home schedule against the Denver Broncos Sunday. Tommy Maddox was signed by the Giants this week. He was drafted by Reeves in Denver. He was going to be the successor someday to John Elway, and the next thing you know, he was with the Rams and couldn't win a spot with them. And then Reeves shocked everybody in New York last week by signing Maddox and releasing Kent Graham. 28-yard line. Brown gives it to Rodney Hampton. Hampton up to the 33-yard line.
The thing about Tommy Maddox is I don't think there are a lot of coaches and general managers in this league that are
standing in line to give him a shot.
And Dan Reeves, it only takes one.
Well, he went all the way through waivers.
Yep. And he wasn't a high-priced guy.
People who could have given him a shot.
And he wasn't a high-priced guy, Frank.
No.
So, but Dan drafted him, #1. I think he was the 25th player, and believes in him.
In 1992, and Dan left, and then he left and went with Rams.
2nd and 4 with Callaway in motion. And the catch is made by Pierce. He breaks a Clayton Holmes tackle and then gets taken down at the 39 and picks up a first down. Clayton Holmes, number 47, he's in the game. Kevin Smith is out, and the update on Smith, the cornerback, he suffered a strained right Achilles tendon. He will not return tonight. He will have an MRI done tomorrow. So that's the only bad news so far this evening. So Clayton Holmes will spell Smith at least for the rest of the game, and then we'll see.
Well, it certainly had that look of an Achilles injury when it happened.
And that's not good.
No.
Movement up front.
I think Big Cat was across the line.
Big Cat creates a fumble, but this penalty is going to go against the Dallas Cowboys.
Not a fumble or Dave Brown trying to get rid of it.
He hit Brown, and the ball popped out. You're right. I'm not sure what it was.
Holding number 76 offense. Offside 78 defense. Penalties offset. Replay the down.
About the ugliest play in history.
Yeah. Jumbo was working on the outside against Haley. Elliott gets flagged for the hold. Let way offsides at the start of the play. If you're an offensive lineman, you could make the argument, hey, the reason I had to hold is because this guy was across the line of scrimmage. Unfortunately, it's not the guy you were blocking, so Jumbo would have a tough time pleading that case.
They wouldn't listen to it anyway.
So it's 1st and 10, and it is Brock Marion, and Brock Marion with the interception.
Oh, what a great interception.
The new starter, the man taking the spot of the departed James Washington, has a pickoff.
And a great one it was, a diving catch by Brock Marion, who spent the past couple of years strictly on special teams, playing behind James Washington. Watch this. A leaping catch. Bobbles it. Gets it to the body. That's a great effort.
You have to assume that Brown saw him and figured there's no way that he gets in on this play. He's working the underneath. Sherrard's working the outside, already locked up against the corner. That's brilliant.
Like that.
That's just brilliant. Highlight film material.
So the Cowboys have it at the Giant 47, 9:14 left in the third quarter. Dallas up 28-0. Underneath, Michael Irvin. Tackled from behind at the 37 by Ray Agnew. Let's check in with Lynn Swan.
Al, I'm with Phil Simms, and Phil, I got to ask you how you think this team is playing tonight.
Well, we were just talking about it. I hope Dallas is just as good, and they're going to go on and have a great season, because otherwise the Giants could be in for a long season, it looks like. But maybe they'll rebound and get it together next week.
Everybody told you to keep it short out there. You got a little emotional, didn't you?
Well, yeah, it was tough. You know, there's a lot of things. I tried to stay away from subjects that I knew would get me emotional, but I got through it, and that was good.
Hey, Dan Deerdorf wants to know how you enjoy a three-man booth.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun this past week, and now I listen to Dan, Frank, and Al in a new way. You know, I listen to see how they're getting along up there and how they do it, so maybe I'm trying to copy him a little.
You think about the comeback, you and Lawrence Taylor?
Yeah. Lawrence has already complained he pulled his hamstring running for that pass, so.
So I guess he's not coming back.
I think the comeback days for both of us are over.
Phil, thank you very much.
Thanks, Len.
Phil Simms. Phil, as he throws to Lawrence Taylor there, we owe it all to our great producer, Ken Wolf.
I think you might be right. And he's settled in nicely. It's a nice booth they've got. And you know what? One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet on this planet is Phil Simms. I'm glad he had this moment. I'm glad they, Frank, in a way, with the Giants, I'm glad they kissed and made up.
Oh, well, it was to see both of them down there, and the memories that just my own personal memories watching him play, it's very special. Taylor and Simms drafted by George Young when he first got here, and George came in '79, and he's done a tremendous job. Won a couple of Super Bowls, and these two guys have been such contributors to whatever the Giants represent anymore in New York.
You know, the quarterback is not necessarily always the offensive leader, as we watch Aikman here.
Aikman throwing, and that's knocked down at the goal line by Thomas Randolph. Good coverage that time on Irvin. Double team.
In this modern era of football, a lot of times the quarterback is the executioner. He is the machine that runs the offense. He's hooked up now robotically to the quarterback coach and to the offensive coordinator, and oftentimes they're not the real leaders of the football team. Phil Simms was a throwback. He was the draw it up in the dirt, get in your face if you're an offensive lineman and blew a block. He was that type of a quarterback. I admire him.
Second down and 10 at the 25-yard line. Emmitt Smith swinging to the outside and is tackled from behind. Nice play by Jesse Campbell, staying with him.
Well, Campbell did what Thomas Randolph didn't do a while ago. He drove through the tackle, and the straight arm didn't affect him whatsoever. Well, Emmitt Smith is strong. He's kind of the prototype of the running backs that are coming into the National Football League now, about 5'9", about 200 pounds, and they run low. You think of Barry Sanders, and they're very difficult to get to the legs. And the other thing they don't do, they don't turn the football over. Over 400 handles by
Emmitt Smith with one bobble.
3rd and 6, and that's Jay Novacek breaking his way toward the goal line, and then it's lost at the goal line. And Maurice Douglas picks it up. So something good finally happens for the Giants.
Jay doesn't believe it.
Novacek and Tito Wooten. It was Wooten who was able to extract the ball, create the loss of the football, and the Giants get it at the
Sometimes that extra effort will do it. I mean, this is Jay Novacek just fighting for the end zone, struggling to get there, loose with the ball, tried to reach across the goal line, and he gives it up.
And Jesse Campbell got a hand in as well.
Jack doesn't believe this yet.
Well, he's probably thinking that he was down. We got a good replay to show you. Kind of educational.
Giants from the 4-yard line. Rodney Hampton slipping to the outside, picks up 2 to the 7. Let's go back and look at the play again.
Jay Novacek has to touch the field to be down and out of this play. Tito Wooten's number 29. He's going to end up underneath Novacek. And Novacek is not on the field. Thus, the ball is still in play. Jesse Campbell swats it out of his hands right into the arms of Maurice Douglas. But because of the fact that Wooten was actually keeping Novacek from being on the field, it's still a live play.
Charles Haley reaching for his calf and stretching out his left leg as we have an injury timeout.
Hopefully that's just a cramp.
You hope that's a cramp, and it looks like it.
On ABC, Roseanne Home Improvement and the Barbara Walters special, and then Primetime Wednesday features 2 Grace Under Fires, 2 Ellens, and a Primetime Live Wednesday night right here. It is 2nd down and 7. Charles Haley didn't need any assistance getting off the field, and Rodney Hampton makes the catch underneath and is tackled at the 12-yard line.
Shanty Carver, the #1 pick for the Cowboys from last year out of Arizona State, comes in for Charles Haley. And I'm taking a look at Haley on the sidelines, but I think it probably and hopefully is going to just be a cramp.
He was hobbling off. He looked to be in pain. If it's a cramp, it's a pretty darn good one.
3rd and 3. Herschel Walker in the game along with Hampton in this set. Herschel out into the pattern, and Walker picks up the first down. Herschel is out of bounds at the 20. Herschel made his NFL debut 9 years ago tonight. At least it was the opening weekend of the season, 1986. And it was his NFL debut. You'll recall he signed with Dallas after playing 3 years with the New Jersey Generals and made his debut against the Giants.
Of course, before that, he played for the Generals here and had a great 2 or 3 years with them. And overall, he's gained 13,000 yards in his career. If you put Philadelphia in there and Minnesota and Dallas.
Giants picking him up after they lost Dave Meggett to try to do some of the things Meggett did. Meggett now with the Patriots. Brown has to step out and then steps out of bounds up at the 23-yard line. Herschel Walker, well, he's had a long career. I think he's finally getting the respect and the accolades that he's been due. The Cowboys for 49 games and 3,300 yards. The Vikings for 42 games and 2,200. The Eagles 48 games and 2,300. He's the only player in league history with either 20 touchdowns or 2,000 rushing yards to 3 different teams. And to this day, at age 33, still plays on special teams.
And only 2 of the teams that he played for the years he was there were into the playoffs.
Yeah, that's an amazing thing. 2nd down and 8. And the catch is made by Callaway. It's a great point, Frank, and it's part of the reason I think he hasn't gotten his due. The fact he spent only 2 seasons on winning teams.
What a remarkable year with Dallas when he first went there. 1,500 yards rushing and some 50 receptions. They used him in just about anything and everything. But again, it was not a good year, except for Herschel.
It's kind of fun watching Jumbo Elliott, the left tackle, lock up with Shantae Carver, the #1 draft choice of last year. Jumbo's taking him to school a little bit here, even though they're certainly on the losing side of the scoreboard.
3rd down and 3. And it's Sherrard making the catch, and he had the first down before he's wrestled back by Brown and Jones. 3:10 to go in the 3rd quarter. The Dallas Cowboys picking right up as one of the elite teams in the league, 28-0. They lead it. Most people feel that the 49ers and the Cowboys are in a class of their own.
One of the problems for the New York Giants, I think, is that when the schedule comes out, you spend so many months looking at opening with the Dallas Cowboys, and you spend so much time talking about closing that gap. We'll see what happens here on this play. Another completion. But you talk so much and put so much effort into talking about how we have improved, how we're able to compete with them, how we are able to challenge them for the NFC East title. And then you have a 3-hour span on a Monday night, and it kind of comes crashing down. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see how Dan Reeves is able to regroup his football team. Because they've spent 5 months talking about this ball game, and they're getting blown out, and that hurts. Hurts a lot.
And they have 2 road games coming up, too. At Kansas City, Chiefs a big winner over Seattle, and then at Green Bay. 1st and 10. Rodney Hampton. Into Dallas territory. Darren Woodson makes the stop. Gain of 10. And a 1st down.
Frank, one thing we know about Dan Reeves, if it can be done, he'll do it. He is one of the, he's in that upper echelon of coaches in the National Football League.
He's been there and seen it all, and I don't think they'll have a problem regrouping. They're just not what they thought they were coming in. Either that or Dallas is maybe a lot better than they were given credit for being. You know, Phil Simms said something on the sidelines. It's true. But you just have to. He was doing it from a Giant point of view, but it is true, and you just have to look at it and say, are the Giants this bad, or is Dallas actually this good? And Barry Switzer told us this is a better football team than he's had there.
Well, there's no argument that Dallas is this good. I don't think that the Giants are alone in being in a position that this could happen to them tonight. I think there's quite a few teams in the league that could be on the same side of a pounding like this.
2nd and 5, 10th play of this drive, which began at the Giant 5-yard line. And Brown looking for Callaway and overthrows him. Minimal contact, no flag. Clayton Holmes covering on the play with 1 minute and 1 second remaining in the 3rd quarter.
And Clayton Holmes did a fine job. Of course, Kevin Smith out of the lineup. They sent Callaway with an out move and a deep move on Clayton Holmes, figuring that Clayton Holmes wouldn't stay with him, and he did a fine job. So you lose Smith and you get Clayton Holmes stepping up, and you get Dion looking on.
You get Dion looking on. We'll detail that when we get into the 4th quarter.
Number 72, offense. 10 yards, 2nd down.
Doug Riesenberg setting this drive back.
Did you see a flag? I didn't see a flag out there. There's Doug right at the bottom there. Well, that's a question where he gets too high and allows his man to get underneath him. And that is Hervin McCormick, I believe, working against him.
Is that holding in today on
yes, that's
rules?
holding.
All right.
Yeah.
Sometimes have to have that explained to me. You see it every play.
Yes, you do. It's tough to discern between good blocking and good holding.
2nd and 15. Brown flutter balls one to the 31, incomplete, intended for Mike Sherrard. And if that didn't look like a field goal, I don't know what would.
Well, that ball in December would be out of the stadium.
Again, I mentioned Jumbo Elliott and the job he's doing at left tackle. Let's zero in and see if we can watch him pass blocking. There's Elliott, 76, working against Carver, who tries to spin, and look at the balance by Jumbo Elliott. Just waits for him to spin, come right back to him, and then kind of dispatches him like yesterday's newspaper.
Waited for him to jump and then just flipped him.
Yeah. Nice work by Jumbo Elliott.
Sometimes today's paper as well.
Yes.
3rd and 15. Brown, little shovel. Herschel Walker gets to the 40-yard line, but he's still 5 yards shy of the 1st down. He's tackled by Larry Brown.
I think after the last time of working against Shante Carver, Dave Campo, the defensive coordinator, sent Charles Haley into the game. And you tell me, guys, is this holding? Watch Haley take the corner. Jumbo kind of locks him up a little bit, and then it's going to give him, whoa, look at that, not me.
And that obviously was a cramp that troubled Haley earlier, and the Giants on 4th down, trailing 28 zip.
Yep.
We'll go for it.
See, that's an 8-year guy in Elliott, getting those hands out of there and saying, hey, I'm clean.
4th and 5, waning seconds of the quarter, and there goes Jumbo.
Jumbo.
4th and 10.
Man, you're killing me.
Prior to the snap, number 76 and number 72. 5 yards, 4th down.
Both corners moving before the snap. You wonder maybe if that perhaps was the snap itself.
Well, that's an interesting. You're right. Maybe it was. Let's see it.
Little late delivery on the part of Brian Williams, who's also playing hurt.
Let's see if everybody else goes. Certainly both tackles go.
Well, the guards wouldn't go because their men are playing straight up on him. So I think it's Brian Williams just late with the ball.
Meanwhile, the quarter
expires. It looks to me like Jumbo's coming out with a finger up in the air saying, I'm number one.
Cowboys are number 1 right now. They lead 28-0 after 3. We'll return with Monday Night Football after this from our ABC stations.
She was young and beautiful and had everything to live for. But someone took it all away.
I walked up to her bedroom. She was lying there, and she was naked.
I had sex with her. That doesn't make me a murderer.
Did you touch the body?
I did not touch her, and I never had sex with her.
I swear to God, I didn't kill her.
Murder One premieres Tuesday, September 19th here on ABC.
The final day of drag racing's biggest event brings one big upset. I'm Clyde Lee. That's story at 11. And find out why O.J. Simpson's best friend is dealt a bad card.
Who decided at what point that it was acceptable to fry a burger? This goes against millions of years of evolutionary instinct. I'm sorry, but burgers taste best cooked over an open flame. That's how the caveman did it. That's how Dad did it. That's how Burger King does it. I take the Whopper. Big hunk of beef cooked over actual fire. Now only 99 cents. Millions of years after the first burger, it's only 99 cents. That's got to be pretty close to what it cost back then, right?
Burger King. Get your burger's worth.
You're not attending a rehearsal dinner. Not starting a new job tomorrow. There's no reunion. And you're not meeting his parents. The point is, there is no point. And maybe that's what makes this such a special occasion. Bravo, because life won't wait. Use the Bravo card where you see the Novus sign.
Don't miss the Circle Center preview Wednesday at 8 on RTV.
Our director, Craig Jana, finds this shot of Dan Reeves. I'd like to put a blood pressure cuff on the head coach of the Giants right now, huh? Think this isn't a tough
job. 4th quarter and 4th down and 10 for the Giants, who trail 28-0. And Dave Brown hit as he throws, and the pass is incomplete, and the Cowboys will take over, and Leon Lett is down. Leon Lett holding his helmet.
Well, we got bodies strewn all over the place. That all occurred right in the vicinity of Dave Brown.
He's got a cramp too, I think. He grabbed at his calf.
Brown is limping off as well. 5 seconds into the 4th quarter, the Dallas Cowboys on their way to an opening night win.
Look at that new Pontiac Sunfire. Now, if you take yours flying to some other planet, the standard 5-speed and fuel-injected engine will make those light years just kind of zip by. Speaking of the all-new Pontiac Sunfire, do you know how much extra the dual airbags and anti-lock brakes will cost you? That's right. Zero. Nothing. The Big O. Finally, a real set of wheels you can really afford.
The last time we were here was when I proposed. 10 years. It seems like only yesterday. I told you then how much I loved you, and nothing's changed.
The Diamond Anniversary Band. On your 10th, show her you'd marry her all over again.
Monroe developed Sensatrack shocks to smooth out the road for a comfortable ride. But Sensatrack doesn't stop there. It's the only shock that also gives you extra control when you need it most. Sensatrack shocks and struts, only by Monroe. For comfort and control. Get Sensatrack shocks. Call 1-800-STRUT now for a Monroe ride expert near you.
Being a PI in Los Angeles is dangerous work. Me, I laugh at danger.
Mark Harmon. That's not funny. Is Charlie Grace, premiering Thursday, September 14th.
But at their own 45-yard line, 1st and 10, as they lead 48 or 28-0. It could be 48. It seems like it is. Will the Cowboys, as Emmitt Smith picks up 5, pick up Deion Sanders? That is the question. Will the 49ers get him? Will somebody else pick up Deion, now of course employed by the San Francisco Giants? His agent Eugene Parker said today, our goal is to have this resolved by Friday, diligently pursuing it, absolutely looking for a long-term deal, as many as 5 years. Deion wants the opportunity to play on offense, wide receiver. It will be Deion's decision, not a decision made by a company, i.e. Nike, Sega, etc. And around the league, as Smith picks up the first down, Eddie Jones of the Miami Dolphins, the general manager, said last year we made the biggest offer. We're very interested in Deion, but there's been no contact over the past week. Pat Bowlen of the Broncos said that Deion and Mike Shanahan have gotten together. We are serious, not just PR. And Pat says it's not our style to wave our arms and jump up and down, but we're serious about it. Carmen Policy of the 49ers said today that we're prepared to make the offer. And Policy and Eugene Parker will get together on Wednesday. Aikman deep, and Michael Irvin with some wonderful ballet work. Toys with Thomas Randolph and makes a sensational catch.
We talked about it at the very beginning of the game. It almost had to happen. Thomas Randolph giving up about 5 inches. But watch on the replay the use of Michael Irvin's hands. Irvin is absolutely the best at getting distance from the defender. Here he is working man on man with Randolph. Randolph gets beat initially. And look at this, that right hand just pushing his head away.
Very subtly.
Very subtly. Not enough to draw the flag. He's good at it.
I'll tell you what's important about that route, though, run by Irvin. That's a route that a year ago would have been run by Alvin Harper.
Emmitt Smith, who has 3 touchdowns tonight.
You know, Alvin Harper got those long balls. He's the guy that got the fly patterns while Michael was doing the tough work underneath. This is where Michael Irvin looked for him this season to get a lot more of these types of balls thrown his direction because of the absence of Harper.
Penalty on the play, offside against the Giants.
Oh, look at that concentration. Holds that thing and clutches it just with the right hand and the right forearm.
Well, Randolph's got a hold of his left arm.
But right here,
he takes it with his right arm.
From here, it's nothing but right arm. Look at that.
That's great athleticism.
The Cowboy team record for most touchdowns in the game is 4, held by several, including Emmitt Smith as of this moment. Emmitt Smith. That's the second time he has scored 4 touchdowns in the game. The other Cowboys to do it, Dwayne Thomas, Calvin Hill, Bob Hayes, and of all people, Dan Reeves as a Cowboy running back in 1967.
Somehow I think it's lost on Dan Reeves.
There it is. There's the grouping. Smith did it in 1990 and again tonight.
Well, it's not over tonight.
No.
We may have a new one.
Well, he may be done for the night.
Yeah, I'd be surprised to see Emmitt in this contest any longer.
Barry may ask Sherman Williams to finish it up. Boniol with a point after. 12:33 remaining in the 4th quarter. Cowboys all smiles, and why not? 35-zip. Part on its way to the parking lot.
There can be some nice traffic jams here at the Meadowlands at 12:30 and 1 a.m. in the morning. I think tonight not the case.
Well,
it'll be a more productive work day in the metropolitan New York area tomorrow because of this.
Came early, leaving early. Baker sends it to the 5-yard line. Herschel Walker. And he's taken down. Up at the 22-yard line with 12:22 remaining in the 4th quarter. 35-0. And the Dallas Cowboys have been the stars tonight. And the Giants have been striped. 35-0.
Ooh, and is it fun when it's 35-0?
Dave Brown to Hampton. Anyway, to crystallize, we started to talk about Deion Sanders, and we talked about some of the teams that are interested in him. There's one other team, the Philadelphia Eagles. Bob Ackles, their personnel man, said today that we're still in it, but considered a dark horse. Ray Rhodes, their coach, and Deion have a good relationship. But clearly, it's another battle between Dallas and San Francisco for the most part right now.
And Carmen Palsy said, we're prepared to make the offer. Carmen wants to go last in this ball game. There's no doubt of that he feels he deserves to become to as the last guy in the scenario where he can either match an offer or top one. Wouldn't you? Don't you sense that?
Absolutely. Aaron Pierce made the catch. Now Deion, of course,
and Pierce looks like he's hurt.
They work on Pierce. Deion plays for the San Francisco Giants, so the 49ers are clearly hoping that comes into play, that he can play both sports in the same city. Anyway, there's an injury timeout here for Pierce with 11:3 left in the fourth quarter.
Pierce walked off the field on his own. Appears to be not as badly hurt as it looked. He
remarkably walked off on his own.
Third down 2. Brown. Well, he slides to a halt at the 30-yard line, and it will be 4th down and 2. And there is Aaron Pierce. Giants on the verge of getting shut out. The last time that happened, Halloween night or day, 1976, in the 3rd game played at this stadium. John McVay's first game as the head coach, as the Eagles won it 10-0. Mike Horan to kick. Dallas has never shut the Giants out in the history of this rivalry. Flag is down at the line of scrimmage as the ball rolls to a halt at the 20-yard line, 22-yard line. McElwee is the referee. Country Joe Avizano, the special teams coach. And the call is against the Giants. Cowboys will decline.
Illegal formation, 6 men on the line of scrimmage against the offense. That penalty is declined. First down, timeout.
10:51 remaining. That Giant, different jersey, different kind of jersey.
I wonder how Michael Irvin will feel when Deion Sanders, if he does, it should come to Dallas, and they put him on offense, as Barry Switzer told us he was perfectly willing to do, to put some offensive plays in for him yesterday when we were talking with him.
Well, first of all, nothing changes the entire concept of a defensive team like speed. You put Deion Sanders on one side, that will instantly make things easier for Michael Irvin on the other.
Here's Wade Wilson in the quarterback right now. Sherman Williams picks it up. And the other thing one other thing we should point out about Deion before talking about his future and speculating, a lot of people think he is a baseball free agent at the end of the season. That is not the case. He is arbitration eligible, and if the Giants, the San Francisco Giants, elect to go to arbitration, he still belongs to them, which could be significant. If he was a free agent, he might want to think about playing with the Dolphins and the Marlins, or the Cowboys and the Rangers, or what have you.
You know that baseball stuff.
Well, a little bit of it. As Wade Wilson
have a major impact
goes to Williams. And Sherman Williams, their top pick out of Alabama, scoots up toward midfield. So clearly the 49ers feel they'd love to see Deion remain with the San Francisco Giants, and that would give him a better chance. But Jerry Jones has been very sanguine about his chances of signing him.
What you sense, and you get a feel for this, is it's somebody, and one of these teams that you've chronicled tonight, somebody is going to throw Deion an offer that's going to be staggering. It's going to involve a signing bonus that's mind-boggling. It's really going to. Troy Aikman received a couple of years ago an $11 million signing bonus from the Dallas Cowboys. It's not out of the realm of possibility that if we're talking a 4 or 5 year deal, that Deion's talking about a bonus somewhere in that range.
But you go out into the future with your salary cap with that signing bonus.
Oh yeah, it factors out. It's a substantial amount of money for a guy
mortgaging what your team.
Well, it's a heck of a signing bonus for a guy who gets there the first week of October.
There are a lot of very happy accountants and lawyers around tonight. I think it's just going to get very interesting. We mentioned before, and it's really too complex, and we don't have the proper form to really mull it over, but it's a big business story. The Nike Cowboy merger tonight, in effect, which is going to create a lot more dollars, a lot more revenue for the Cowboys. Not that they can use it under the cap, but Dion's a Nike client, and what if Nike says, hey, Dion, we'd like you to play with the Cowboys?
It's interesting, too, that it happened here at Giant Stadium, where the genesis of revenue sharing was generated by the late Jack Mara, who in the first major television contract said to the rest of the league, we will share equally. Even though we are the New York franchise, would ordinarily receive more income, we will share equally, and that's where it all began, the revenue sharing.
Here's the swing pass to Williams, who takes it to the 49. Jones wanted to make it very clear. He understands revenue sharing in terms of television, in terms of gate receipts. He knows it's important. He knows it's very important for competitive balance. But he also feels basically that NFL Properties contributes only about $90 million to all of the teams combined. And he thinks, as he puts it, I can grow that pie. I can make that pie staggering.
He is talking about altering, in the way Jerry describes it, 5% of a team's gross revenues. That's what he doesn't want to share. What comprises 5% of a team's income. He's saying we can do better. Certainly the Dallas Cowboys can do better. The question is, can the Cincinnati Bengals do better? Can the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do better? And Jerry thinks, you know, Jerry Jones, he has an answer for everybody who says, well, it can't be done. Hey, hire me. I'll come down and do it for you. He's very vocal about saying that. If you don't think you can do it, hey, pay me a commission. I'll come down and do it.
I don't think we'll see him in Cincinnati right away.
Penalty here. Joe Avisano upset about the call, which will go against the Cowboys after Jet punts it into the end zone.
We're not in the NFL's inner circle. We're not one of the owners, and we're not the commissioner. But this will be a very active week
number 70 of the kicking
at 410
team.
Park Avenue.
15-yard face mask foul. That penalty is declined. First down. Timeout.
Extremely. 7:26 left on opening night. All Cowboys.
High Point station has a new network and new call letters, and obviously we're very pleased to welcome them to our team.
Say hello to all those furniture people down there.
WXLV TV 45. Winston-Salem, Greensboro, High Point. This is being shot from somewhat of a high point right here. The Blimpoid is it.
Next week, our blimp shots will come from Chicago. The Green Bay Packers taking on the Chicago Bears, week 2 on Monday Night Football. And the rest of our month features Pittsburgh at Miami, week 3, and then San Francisco at Detroit, week 4. Brown deep, underthrown. Official started to go for the flag and then said no. Larry Brown and Thomas Lewis were there.
It all had kind of a funny little torque to it. I saw one a little earlier that looked a little wounded. That one had kind of a funny spin to it.
Does that mean it wobbled?
Well, yeah, but it's really wobbling.
Bounced right off of Lewis's face mask is what it did.
7:18 left. Cowboys on top, 35-0. Second and 10 from the 20-yard line.
Keith Elias is in the ball game now. I see the running back from Princeton. Back there he is with the ball.
He gets it, takes the sidearm pass, and picks up 13 yards. Jim Schwantz lays one on him up at the 33-yard line. Pickup of 13.
Elias, the most productive back for the Giants during their preseason.
Hey, he's kind of their Rudy here with the Giants. He came out of Princeton, scrapped and fought and made this team a year ago as a free agent, and no one thought he'd be around. Tyrone Wheatley, the great running back from Michigan, was the #1 draft pick. Well, he broke some ribs, and so Keith Elias wound up making this football team again and was the most productive back they had during preseason. He can do a lot of things.
From the 33-yard line, here's Brown. Lewis makes the catch. I would suggest this could be the first game in the history of the National Football League featuring 2 guys from Princeton and no players from Notre Dame. That is the case. Elias and Jason Garrett, the #3 quarterback from the Cowboys.
They were teammates. Garrett, a year older than Elias.
Of course, the way Notre Dame played on Saturday.
We may be looking at a game down the road where we have 4 guys from Northwestern and nobody from Notre Dame.
2nd and 7 at the 36.
Lou just twitched.
Oh, Lou. Keith Elias.
I remember at Michigan, at Michigan, we used to go play Northwestern every year, and back then they weren't a great deal of competition for Bo Schembechler's teams, and we'd get out of the bus at the stadium and there'd always be a big sign hanging there that said, "You may beat us today, but you'll work for us later." Kind of a pompous attitude, I thought.
Tyrone Wheatley, the #1 pick, with the ribs that will probably be well enough for him to play in a couple of weeks.
He brings something to the table. It's called big man who's really fast. Tyrone Wheatley, for a man who weighs 225 pounds, when he gets into the open field, he will not be caught.
Interesting how they'll play Wheatley when he does come back with Rodney Hampton. There plans to get them both in the game at the same time.
Kind of got on Dan's bad side, didn't he? Right off what was it? The first day of training camp
for a long time, and
he
then
pulled his gluteus maximus.
Well, the first day he came in.
Yeah.
He was late coming to camp, and the first day he left the field limping.
I think it was the gluteus minimus. Here is Elias to the 48-yard line.
I don't know. I've only ever dealt with the gluteus maximus. Tried to make it more minimus, but it's more maximus than minimus.
Elias working for all the local newsrooms around the country. Hard on the ground.
That's right. 3rd down and 1. Herschel Walker is back in the game at the 47-yard line. 4:15 left. Cowboys on top, 35-0. Walker to the 45-yard line, and that'll be a first down. There's Ray Donaldson, so many years with the Colts.
The oldest active lineman now in the NFL.
Jackie Slater's on the physically unable to perform list at St. Louis. Donaldson, though, he's been around so long, he played with the Baltimore Colts.
Only a couple of those guys left, huh? What, Ron Stark? Is he's still in the league?
Still in the league, yep, punting.
Great, 37 years old.
Ray Donaldson has spent very little of his career, though, in postseason play, so a great opportunity in Dallas. He is the #1 center now, with Mark Stepnoski having gone to the Houston Oilers. And that pass is dropped by Chris Callaway.
Well, I think if Ray Donaldson just stays healthy, Chris Hinton, the other, thank you, Kenny Wolf, our producer. If Ray Donaldson stays healthy, his entry into postseason play is guaranteed. They don't make enough bad things that could happen to this football team to keep them out of the playoffs.
Good look at Mark Tuanay, number 71 there, who has turned into an outstanding Pro Bowl tackle on the left side. We talked so much about Eric Williams, but Tuanay started as a defensive lineman for the Cowboys 13 years ago.
And went to the what? Went to the Pro Bowl last year for the very first time.
First time, yep. Worst shutout losses at home for the Giants, and that goes all the way back to the pre-Giant Stadium days. Pittsburgh 27-zip in '76, and then a couple of skunkings by Baltimore.
And take our word for it, coming into tonight, that was not a graphic that we had planned on putting up.
3rd down and 10.
I'm glad you didn't find that in my career.
That's right.
Steve down there with smoking computers.
Brown walks one, and it's Clayton Holmes and Mike Sherrard, and Holmes wants a flag and doesn't get it. Just breaks the play up.
Clayton Holmes made a couple of pretty fine plays since he replaced Kevin Smith tonight. 3rd round draft pick out of Carson Newman a couple of years ago.
That was really an outstanding play by Sherrard to break up what looked like a sure interception. Holmes had a direct line on that baby.
So the Giants on 4th and 10 now at the 45-yard line. And Brown's pass is incomplete. So Holmes does the job. Harrell was the intended receiver.
And he appears to be hurt.
He's slow in getting up.
And just out and out fine coverage on the part of the Cowboys secondary. Dave Brown, a lot of time, no place to put it.
This is one of those deals here where 3 minutes left in the ball game and you're getting players hurt. This is where you're kind of looking for Vinny Vecchione to run in from the corner. This would, the Giants would like to get this over with. Gary Harrell, the flea, still down on the field.
So rolled up there by Clayton Holmes playing the ball.
Tabloids will have a field day tomorrow. Hudson Street is a new show on ABC. It starts on Tuesday, September the 19th. Lori Loughlin is one of the stars, and Tony Danza is back beginning the 19th of September. Let's see, the tabloids. Jets lose yesterday. They get killed 52-14. So the Post has a one-word headline on the back page: joke. Daily News had Rich Kotite's picture, KO tight. They were just warming up, though, for what's going to appear tomorrow, I would think.
This might be a little late for them.
The 45-yard line.
That would benefit the Giants.
Here's Lang. So what's Regis going to do on the show tomorrow now that I've read the headlines?
Oh, he'll be wearing black for Notre Dame. You know that.
Yep.
No chance of Kathy bringing it up, is there?
In the opening billboards.
Tell her she owes us.
There is Switzer.
Yeah.
In his second year. Happy to be here.
2nd down and 3 at the 48. Wilson. Sherman Williams. The laugh as you look at Emmitt Smith. The way Switzer sometimes gets criticized. Last year, I mean, he did a remarkable job when you think about it. You come in, a team has won 2 Super Bowls. You take over for a tremendously successful coach. He did it perfectly. He let it just flow. And then all of a sudden he gets criticized because they didn't get to the Super Bowl, that, oh, it wasn't his team and he didn't really coach.
By 10
Nonsense.
points they didn't get to the Super Bowl.
They had 5 bad minutes in San Francisco, and that was the end of it.
And from that point on, played one of the greatest football games I've ever had the privilege to see.
Those 3 fumbles early on, and then after that, they never 1 ounce of quit in any of them. They came back, and at the end, they still had a chance to win it.
2-minute warning.
He was perhaps the greatest running back the game has ever known. And on the day he set the NFL's all-time rushing record, his uniform was sent to the Hall of Fame. His own arrival was only a matter of time.
Hi, I'm Walter Payton. My induction into Pro Football's Hall of Fame is an honor that will always be special to me. But that honor was made even more special because my son Jared presented me for enshrinement, something that no other son has done for his father.
Your friends and your fans, I say congratulations to.
We're both thrilled with the hall itself, a treasure chest of football history with its regal enshrinement gallery, its action theater, its authentic mementos and exhibitions. From 100 years of pro football, the hall does more than celebrate the game I love. It lets the future touch the past.
The Hall of Fame, where legends never die and the season never ends. This message furnished by the National Football League.
On 3rd down, Sherman Williams takes the ball and is stopped at the 45-yard line, close to a 1st down. As this one winds down, the Dallas Cowboys clearly the creme de la creme along with the 49ers. And the Giants simply trying to regroup in the NFC East, which had some interesting outcomes yesterday. Philadelphia upset by Tampa Bay. Washington knocking off Arizona, and impressively so.
Philadelphia losing.
Yep.
So Dallas will have a one-game lead in the NFC East.
Well, they'll be tied with Washington. That's true.
Sunday by the Redskins yesterday, piling up, what, 230, 240 yards rushing on one of the fine defensive teams against the run in the league, the Arizona Cardinals. Pretty impressive performance by Norv Turner and his group there in Washington. Dave Brown, he's got to make something happen with the Giant passing game, Frank, or no matter how talented they are at running the football, which they are, it's going to be tough for them.
Fumble on 4th down. Covers it. He may have even picked up the first down.
They fumbled forward enough to get the first.
That's the way it's gone tonight. That's kind of sums it up. 4th down, you fumble, and the ball bounces forward, and you recover for a first down. Everything tonight right for the Cowboys and wrong for the boys in blue.
See Nate Newton still in the ball game there, number 61. Big Nate all the way down to around 320 pounds from about 400 even. An 80-pound loss.
Well, the Jets and the Giants both getting ripped on the opening weekend. 87-14 the composite score. How'd the Yankees do today? I think they won.
I think they won again.
They lost yesterday to the A's. Well, this one winding down, and Leon Lett and the Dallas Cowboys will have a fun trip back to DFW tonight. Switzer and the gang to take on the Denver Broncos. We will next see Dallas on a Monday night in November against the Philadelphia Eagles, and then we'll see them at the end of the year against the Arizona Cardinals on Christmas night. So Barry Switzer with a juggernaut again this year. The Cowboys beat the Giants 35-0. Next week we'll be in Chicago. It's the Bears taking on the Green Bay Packers. Until then, Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf, Lynn Swan, good night from Giants Stadium.
Not good. Hi.
Labor Day is ending now as summer takes its final bow. We'll pay homage to Cal's great chase and check out the AL wildcard race, where the Yankees try to turn the tide. The Rangers can't run away and hide. And guess who's creeping up the other side? Are you ready for Monday night? Emmitt Smith, a TD in sight, Sunday's postmortems and new tidbits. How will the Steelers survive these hits? Monica pens another chapter. Could she take Huber? Yeah, she laughed her. But even though summer's ending this year, with fall approaching, you have nothing to fear. I'm running out of things to rhyme. SportsCenter is next. Good evening, good morning. Welcome to the big show alongside my tag team partner, Keith Oberman. I'm Dan Patrick.
Coming up on SportsCenter, the big games from the wild card races, AL and NL varieties. We'll total up the body count from Sunday's NFL action. And it's a football team, it's a theme park, it's a controversy. It's all three in one. But first, well, Phil Simms looked pretty good.
Yes, he did. There was one quarterback on the field for the Giants. The Cowboys entered the 1995 season trying to keep Emmitt Smith healthy and hoping to make Deion Sanders happy. Mere days before number 21 announces his football future, number 22 paid a visit to the Meadowlands for a date with the Giants. Emmitt, his game face on. So did Troy. First quarter, no score. Troy, Emmitt, gone. 60 yards for the score. Switzer loves it. The Cowboys go up 7-0. Later in the first, Aikman decides to go up top. Jay Novacek. The short pass, he turns into a big gain. To the second quarter, same drive, 3rd and 2, Aikman, Michael Irvin. They make it look so easy. 14-0 boys. The first half, though, belonged to Emmitt. Fakes out Thomas Randolph, then goes out of bounds. He would have 100 yards before halftime. That set up 1st and goal. Guess who comes calling? Emmitt. In, out, in. 21-0 Cowboys. Scary moment for Dallas. Watch number 26, Kevin Smith. seemed to hurt his right foot. Still don't have a medical update on that injury. We hope to get that from Leslie Visser, who was at the Meadowlands. At halftime, Phil Simms honored, his jersey retired. There was one Giant quarterback on the field. Number 11 is retired, much to the chagrin of the packed stadium. Emmett, they may want to retire his jersey after this performance. Another big gain goes out at the 1-yard line. That set up, who else? Emmett. Do you think Emmett answered some of his critics, his skeptics, who said he wasn't working hard in the offseason? 28-0 boys. They keep rolling. In the fourth, Aikman goes deep. Michael Irvin makes an incredible catch at the 1-yard line. Actually, for Michael Irvin, that's a Michael Irvin catch. Down to the 1, and yep, Emmett again. Fourth touchdown of the game, tying a Cowboy record. The former Cowboy Dan Reeves isn't happy. Emmett is. So are the Cowboys as they win it by the final of 35-0. Emmett goes for 163 yards in his last 5 games against the Giants. 152 carries, 820 yards and 10 touchdowns. The first time the Cowboys have ever shut out the New York Giants. The Cowboys have won 7 of 9 over the G-Men. We've just received a medical update. Kevin Smith has a strained Achilles tendon. An MRI will take place on Tuesday. We will check in with Leslie Visser. We'll hear from the winners from Giant Stadium coming up momentarily.
Meanwhile, how bloody was the first weekend of the NFL action? 5 guys hurt yesterday. 5 quarterback guys, that is, ranging from guys who popped right back up like Mike Tomczak of the Steelers to guys who did not, like Neil O'Donnell of the Steelers. In short, on the NFL's first re-examination Monday of 1995, there were no good surprises health-wise or Heath-wise. Heath Schuler, that is, one of the quarterbacks who fell against the Cards' Clyde Simmons and against the turf. It is a grade 1 sprain of his right shoulder. He gets a grade 1. Congratulations, Heath. He's out 2-4 weeks, and thanks to your teammates for hitting you on the shoulder as he walks off. In Denver, the lineman Michael Dean Perry was held on this play by Reuben Brown. As a result of the hold and the ferocity, there was a partially torn knee ligament. Now, this one is not even close to being definitive. 3 to 12 weeks he's out. Seattle, in his first game with the Seahawks, Ricky Prohl makes the catch and breaks the fibula, the right fibula. He's out 2 months. That would be 8 weeks. And one more in Chicago, the Bears fullback Raymond Harris. He caught a pass and caught his collarbone, broke it, falling out of bounds. He's out 2 to 3 months. In Jacksonville, James Stewart did not say this is a wonderful life in the NFL. Hit by a host of Oilers in his first pro game, sprained his shoulder. He's listed as day-to-day. It feels worse. Also from that game, the Oilers QB Chris Chandler got a bruised shoulder, aggravated it on that throw, but is expected to practice on Wednesday, so no Aaron McNair, not yet anyway. Also, Raiders tackle Gerald Perry broke his forearm and is out indefinitely. Steve Loftus.
The Dallas Cowboys have defeated the New York Giants at home on Phil Simms night, 35-0, from one quarterback who had his jersey retired to another quarterback standing by with Leslie Visser. Leslie?
Dan, that is true. It was the Giants' worst loss since 1980, and people are wondering, are the Cowboys that good or are the Giants that bad, Troy?
Well, I think the Giants have an outstanding football team. I really do. I think they're an improved team from what they were a year ago. We came in tonight and we're ready to play. We prepared well leading up to this ball game, and we executed well. So I think they're a much better team than what they showed tonight.
Did you just feel you were able, I mean, more than 100 yards for Michael Irvin, almost 100 for Jay Novacek, 163, I think, for Emmett. Did you feel you could just look anywhere?
Well, we got into a groove to where we were pretty much able to do what we wanted. We were able to throw the football, and I had time to throw the ball. Guys were getting open, and then the guys up front, the offensive line, did a fantastic job for us in giving some holes to Emmett. And that's where it all started, was up front in the offensive line. It was good to have Eric back, and the guys did a great job.
Do you think maybe you're a better team than last year?
Well, I think we're a better team, not necessarily because of talent. I think we're a better football team because the team has come together. And last year there was so much uncertainty surrounding this football team and a lot of controversy and changes and a lot of things that we had to try to overcome. This year we've put all that behind us, and we go into the season looking forward to what's laid in store for us. And you come into this opening ball game and you don't really know what kind of team you're going to have, and this was a good start for us.
We made it look easy tonight. Thanks, Troy.
Thanks, Leslie.
Thanks a lot. Back to you, Dan.
Well, I'll take it, Leslie. Thanks very much. We'll get back to you later on.
Great.
In baseball, 3 years ago, he hit .290 in